was because here in this land, we unleashed the energy and individual genius of man to a greater extent than has ever been done before. Freedom and the dignity of the individual have been more available and assured here than in any other place on earth. The price for this freedom at times has been high, but we have never been unwilling to pay that price. Those who say that we're in a time when there are no heroes, they just don't know where to look. The sloping hills of Arlington National Cemetery, with its row upon row of simple white markers bearing crosses or stars of David, they add up to only a tiny fraction of the price that has been paid for our freedom. Each one of those markers is a monument to the kind of hero I spoke of earlier. Their lives ended in places called Belleau Wood, the Argonne, Omaha Beach, Salerno, and halfway around the world on Guadalcanal, Tarawa, Pork Chop Hill, the Chosin Reservoir, and in 100 rice paddies and jungles of a place called Vietnam. Under one such marker lies a young man, Martin Treptow, who left his job in a small-town barber shop in 1917 to go to France with the famed Rainbow Division. There on the Western Front, he was killed trying to carry a message between battalions under heavy artillery fire. We're told that on his body was found a diary. On the flyleaf, under the heading, My Pledge, he had written these words: America must win this war. Therefore I will work, I will save, I will sacrifice, I will endure. I will fight cheerfully and do my utmost as if the issue of the whole struggle depended on me alone. We must realize that no arsenal or no weapon in the arsenals of the world is so formidable as the will and moral courage of free men and women. It is a weapon our adversaries in today's world do not have. It is a weapon that we as Americans do have. Let that be understood by those who practice terrorism and prey upon their neighbors. As for the enemies of freedom, those who are potential adversaries, they will be reminded that peace is the highest aspiration of the American people. We will negotiate for it, sacrifice for it. We will not surrender for it now or ever. We are Americans.
You need to get a handle on this stuff, because if you don't, in 6 months, the Democrat machine will fire up and they'll tell everybody that they'll solve all their problems with socialism and pixie dust. And the voters are going to say, well, the Republicans aren't doing anything. They don't care what the Republicans do. The Republic, well, you know, we voted for the Republicans and they suck. They didn't do anything. They can't get anything done. And the problem is the Republicans establishment. I do worry that part of this is they hate Trump anyway. Okay, they despise him. They've always hated him. And to them, they couldn't throw him in handcuffs, so they're going to handcuff his agenda and let him run out the clock. That's what I worry is actually happening right now. Okay.
Drums are calling like a distant thunder. Fiddles whisper tales of woe. Through the wire let the neon wonder.
can promise you that.
There's a rumble in the distance, something stirring up the ground. Coffee shops and corner stores, people talking all around. But the words they're speaking softly got a weight that pulls you down. Something's moving through the grapevine, word by word from town to town. And they lean in close to tell you what they heard somebody say. But the truth gets bent and twisted as it travels on its way. Who do you trust? When the talk gets low, who do you trust? When the whispers grow in the halls of power where the secrets flow, who do you trust? Tell me who do you trust? Backroom deals and handshake promises sliding underneath the door. Politicians playing poker with the chips are rich and poor. Every word's a calculation, every pause worth so much more. While the people keep on waiting for the truth they're hungry for. And they lean in close to tell you what they heard somebody say. But the truth gets bent and twisted as it travels on its way. Who do you trust? When the talk gets low, who do you trust? When the whispers grow in the halls of power where the secrets flow, do you trust? Tell me who do you trust? Thicker, every lie becomes the truth, and the honest voices calling sound like strangers in the booth. We're all just trying to listen to the static and the noise, but the loudest information drowns out the quieter voice. Who do you trust? When the talk gets low, who you trust? When the whispers grow in the halls of power where the secrets flow, who you trust? Tell me who do you trust? Who you trust? Do you trust? Do you trust? Do you trust?
Oh, sorry there, guys. I didn't even realize it was muted on the stream. Sorry about that. There's and just watching this unfold today, I think that it's probably going to backfire drastically on all of the backfire drastically on the Democrats because of how ridiculous this got. I mean, watching all of them scream about this, and then Stacey Plaskett comes out there, and then Jamie Raskin came out there and said that, it's okay that Stacey Plaskett had text messages from Jeffrey Epstein during the middle of a hearing. That's okay because he's a constituent, and there's no rule against a constituent taking a phone call or taking text messages from a constituent during the middle of a hearing. Really? This is what we're doing now? Like, this is what we're doing now. This is so absurd. Like, it's so crazy to me that this is what people are going with here. Just watching the Democrats just do this to themselves has been amazing to watch. I got to say that's for sure. So we've got a lot to talk about other than that, though. So we're going to go over all of the different stuff from the Epstein saga, the circus that this was today, and why I've said what I've been saying for months now, that this is obviously just a big, giant distraction from the Democrats and that it was a disaster, that none of it's actually going to matter at the end of it because, I love Jeffrey, Hefe Jeffries, our favorite here, was even, Comer came out and said, well, why did you take money from him? Why did you do this? Stacey Plaskett, why were you text messages? Every one of these people is going to get up involved in this, and it's going to end up being a complete disaster on all fronts. So just to give us, to set the scene for this was Speaker Johnson's comments on this, and I think this is a pretty accurate take, essentially, of what the Democrats did today.
This should have been done in a much more careful manner, and it was not. And I'm going to point out again, when the authors were asked to fix it, they said they weren't interested in doing that. Okay, why? Because this is a raw and obvious political exercise. Again, I'm just going to leave you with this question. You should go ask them all. If you were so concerned about the Epstein files and protecting the victims, why didn't you do a darn thing about it for the 4 years of the Biden administration? All this stuff was sitting in a warehouse, and nobody said a word about it. They didn't care. Now they're doing it. We all know why. Because they're trying to attack President Trump. That's it.
And this is the point, really. I mean, this is exactly the point. The Democrats are going along with this, and there's a couple of the Republican congresswomen that are going along with this. And I keep trying to tell people, and they keep not listening to what I have to say on this, is, when Trump came out and he was angry about this whole saga, right? Angry about the Epstein stuff, and he lashed out, in typical Trump fashion. Now, I think he probably went a little bit too far with the way that he commented on it and the messaging he put out on it. But at the same time, he's right. This is still just a hoax. And the hoax is not the files themselves. Make it very clear. That's not the hoax. The hoax is trying to make it be about President Trump. That's the hoax. That's what he's referring to. That's what he was referring to the whole time. Of course, people took it and said, oh, Trump doesn't believe anything to do with the Epstein files, even though he's been talking about the Epstein files forever now. And the other side of this is that they are releasing them out of the House Oversight Committee. So, they've released tons of documents already. But the bigger part about this is how obvious of a joke this was today. Just watching all these people talk about this and go on and on and on. But we did learn some interesting things. So there is an interesting bit that we learned from Johnson again. So Johnson came out, and this was after that first initial comment there. He also came out and said this, and I thought this was very telling. So I wanted to play this here so people can hear this again.
All right. Number 5, national security concerns, okay? The discharge requires the Attorney General to release within 30 days, quote, classified information to the maximum extent possible. This ignores the principle that declassification should always rest, and always has rested, with the agency that originated the intelligence. Why? So that they can protect their critical sources and methods. It is incredibly dangerous to demand that officials or employees of the DOJ declassify materials that originated in other agencies, in intelligence agencies.
So did you catch it? Different agencies. So what have we been saying? What have people been saying about the Epstein saga for a long time now? That this was essentially an intelligence operation. It was pretty obviously an intelligence operation. Well, he just confirmed it. He confirmed it just right there. The DOJ shouldn't be declassifying things that come from other agencies where they originated. Okay, well, you gave away the game there, so there we go. Now we all know it was an intelligence operation. Congratulations, everybody that said that 10 years ago. But now at least we have confirmation of that, so that's another great thing for us to comment on there. But it continues, though. So the absurdity got so ridiculous today as all these people started giving speeches. You know, Massey made some comments outside. Marjorie Taylor Greene tried to make it all about her. She tried to come out here. And I love the people, by the way, I'm going to make this comment because I find it so absurd. There's a bunch of people that I was arguing with earlier claiming that somehow this is a good thing for, there's somehow a good thing for Marjorie Taylor Greene to glom onto this and to attack the president on this. I don't know what world you live in, but it's not the same world that I live in. Okay, I'm not sure what world you're pertaining to because that's not accurate. Marjorie Taylor Greene's district voted for Trump like, I don't know, massively by huge margin. I think Trump outperformed her in her district by about 10 or 15 points. I think he won 78% and she won 63 or something like that. So, you know, watching that happen, to try and believe that somehow Marjorie Taylor Greene, who the only reason she has a platform in the first place, the only reason people pay any attention to her is because she has been chanting MAGA from the hilltops for years on end, is somehow going to be okay in her political career when she's attacking Trump. I don't see how that works at all. I don't think that's true. Okay, I don't think that's going to work out at all. I think she's going to get blown out in her primary. Whoever President Trump endorses in that district will probably win. That's what I think. But anyway, all of these people continued their absurd, rantings and ravings in Congress today. But I think some of these other ones are very important for us to mention here. So I want to play a couple of them here. So I think Jeffries, this is probably the funniest part about this. So this is Comer came out and started talking about this. So let's play this clip here. This is Comer.
Coordination with Epstein. Another email shows Democrat fundraisers invited Epstein to an event or to meet privately with Hakeem Jeffries as part of their 2013 effort to win a majority. So Hakeem Jeffries' campaign solicited money from Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we found in the last document batch. The files underscore why former President Trump must appear for his deposition. We've subpoenaed him. To date, the Democrats have done nothing to help us secure his appearance. I support full transparency. The Oversight Committee will continue to work to get the truth to the American people and to get justice for the victims. That's our goal of this investigation. With that, I yield back.
The gentleman yields back.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, we reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
So there you go. There's Comer out there talking about this and talking about how Jeffries apparently, was looking for donations from Jeffrey Epstein. So again, the point being that all of these people are going to get up somehow getting wrapped up in this, I bet, and watching them flail about and claim that this stuff isn't happening and that it's all just Trump. I don't think this is going to work out for them. And the other part of this is there was 417 people who voted yes on this, and there's only one who voted no, which was Clay Higgins. Now, a bunch of people are going to be upset about that. Now, listen, Clay Higgins' response and the reason that he gave a decent reason. He said that I don't like the idea of us releasing everything in bulk because you're going to get a bunch of innocent people wrapped up in this. That might be true, but Clay, what are you doing, dude? Like, how bad are you at PR? Like, I mean, it doesn't matter. If you didn't like it, you should have just not voted at all on it. That's an option, by the way. So this is probably the stupidest PR that he ever did, was coming out here and voting no on it. It was 417-1. Doesn't look good no matter who you are. But anyway, we'll continue to go through some of these other rantings that we had here. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, where she came out here and she continued to make this whole thing all about herself. So let's play this here, and then I want to talk about this specific section for a second here.
Finally, putting these victims and these survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and the cabal of rich, powerful elites that expands not just here in the United States of America, but to other countries as well. We're putting them last. And that is exactly what Americans want. You see, for far too long, Americans have been put last. And they're sick of it. They're sick and tired of it. And this is why they don't trust Congress. This is why they don't trust the government. And here's the problem. All of these women who have suffered in shame for years and years and years, women who were terrified, women who were intimidated, women who were threatened, just like Virginia Giuffre. And now she's dead. And these women should have never faced that, for this information to come out. And we, especially the 4 Republican members of the House of Representatives, we should have never faced intimidation and threats for us to get this vote to come to the floor. Never forget, there were 4: Thomas Massie, myself, Nancy Mace, and Lauren Boebert. We had to sign a discharge petition, and we had to fight through intimidation, and we had to endure it for months to push that discharge petition finally to 218 to get this vote to come out. This is what the American people are sick of, and rightfully so. Now, where does this go?
So there you go. Marjorie Taylor Greene coming out here and complaining that, you know, they've faced threats and intimidation and all this and blah, 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 blah. You know, Marjorie, I thought you were going to go out there and read all of the victims' names. Like, you were going to read the names off. You told them wasn't that a promise? Or am I mistaken? Was that somebody else that asked that? If I'm not mistaken, I thought that Marjorie Taylor Greene was intending to go out there and she was going to read off the names of the people for the victims, because you can read anything on the House floor and it's 100% protected speech. There's nothing you can stop anybody from doing. Reading on the House floor is that's one of the key things about Congress, is you're allowed to say anything on the floor and you have full immunity for saying anything on the floor. So I thought she was going to go out there and read it, but instead she went out there and talked about how, you know, poor me. Let's remember me, everybody. Look at me, 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 me. I mean, just, ugh, goodness. I can't stand it. It's driving me nuts. I don't care about Marjorie Taylor Greene or Massie or any of these people, because here's Massie, by the way. So this is the other thing I wanted to bring on here. This is Massie when he was talking about this outside before this even started. So Massie was confronted by somebody who asked him a question specifically on this, as Steinberger asked him a question. So I wanted to play this here because this kind of gives this away yet again, because I think this is pretty telling. I mean, just listen to this here.
And will Republicans... Hi, Congressman. Will Republicans move to censure Rep. Plaskett after finding out she was texting with a convicted child sex offender?
I don't know. That's sort of, to me, that's just a distraction at this point.
What about Bill and Hillary Clinton? They're now refusing to show up before the House oversight regarding their depositions with Jeffrey Epstein. What's going to happen with them? Is there going to be a criminal referral?
That's up to the Oversight Committee and the Speaker of the House. I mean, everybody in this country has the right to plead the Fifth Amendment. If that's what they're doing, that's fine. But if they're refusing to show up at all, that's not legal.
Bannon and Navarro were in prison for doing the same thing. Should they be as well?
That's outside of my purview. The Oversight Committee has been doing their own investigation, and we have introduced legislation because they have yet to produce a single name or any justice for these survivors.
So there you go. Now, the more important part about this is what he said at the very beginning of that. So about the censuring of Plaskett, that the fact that he wouldn't even comment on that is like, oh, that's just a distraction. Why is it a distraction? Why is that a distraction? Someone answer that. Okay. This woman was texting Jeffrey Epstein during a congressional hearing, and she was giving him prompts. Why is that a distraction? I'm not sure that's a distraction at all. I think that's kind of relevant. Maybe? No? I don't know. I mean, it seems like it to me. I think it's pretty relevant. I'm not really sure why it wouldn't be relevant. But according to Massie, no, that's just a distraction. To stop talking about anything that's harmful to the Democrats somehow. You know, this is the problem I have with him, okay? This is the problem I have with Massie during all this entire ordeal, is that it doesn't appear to me that he's actually being intellectually honest about it. The only reason, and by the way, this is another thing. I don't know if you guys know this, but Massie is campaigning and like raising money based on this Epstein stuff. Like he's been literally putting out campaign commercials about it, for fundraising. He's including it in fundraising stuff. So this is not some sort of transparent, oh, I want to be the top, you know, moralistic person that exists. I don't think so. That's just not accurate. I mean, it's not. I don't know what they're doing. It's absurd to me that this is what they think they're trying to get away with this, but I don't care. Listening to Massie continuously go on about it because it just got worse and worse. So as we get into this and we continue to go into this was Stacey Plaskett's response to this entire ordeal, which is, by the way, I do need to play that. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, there's actually a clip I should probably play first there's Stacey Plaskett's text messages, and this actually, strangely enough, came out from the Washington Post of all places. So I do want to play this real quick just so people can understand what I'm talking about. I don't think there's really a lot of audio to it, if I'm not mistaken, but I'll play it anyway and read what you guys what you can see here. Hold on a second there. Here we go. Share this one. There we go. Play. So this was the newly released. Hold on a second. There we go. This is new release documents showing the Washington Post indicate that during a 2019 hearing, the Post reviewed multiple video feeds from the hearing and matched the text messages that were sent in Pacific time with the video. So this is from Jeffrey Epstein to Stacey Plaskett from the Virgin Islands, and this is during the hearing, and this is in 2019 after he's already gone through the whole process here. So you can see on the screen that he's getting direct questions. Cohen brought up Rona, and he's saying who Rona is, and then she immediately asks a question about Rona. So here you can listen to her respond to that.
You suggested you were going to review that. Did you review? Are you going to review it in our next break to correct the record? Yes or no?
Yes.
Question: you helped out the president's campaign, or were involved in the campaign as a representative, as a spokesman, even in your words today. It was your idea for the campaign dating back
He's
to
giving her
2011.
information here about who his assistant is. So that's who Rona is. Here you go.
Weisenberg and other individuals, Ms. Rona. Who are those individuals? Are they with the Trump organization?
They are.
Are there other people that we should be meeting with?
So Alan Weisselberg is the chief financial officer.
Uh-huh. You got to quickly give us as many names as you can so we can get to them.
Yes, ma'am.
Is Ms. Rona, what is Ms. Rona's position?
Rona Graff is Mr. Trump's executive assistant.
And would she be able to corroborate many of the statements that you've made here?
Yes, her office is directly next to his, and she's...
So the moment that he responds to that, so on the screen, for those who are watching the live view, you can see this is, in the moment that she brings up Rona, 2 minutes later, Jeffrey Epstein texts her saying, "Good work." Now, why wouldn't that be relevant, Massey? That's not a relevant thing. This is kind of an interesting point here, I think. Does anybody else not think that's an interesting point? I think that's pretty important. Jeffrey Epstein, 2019, is texting a member of Congress, Stacey Plaskett from the Virgin Islands, direct messages to her from him, telling her what to say, what to ask, what to get questions from Cohen about. I mean, that's pretty relevant in my eyes, guys. So I don't think it's a distraction, Mr. Massey. I know you don't want to talk about anything that's bad for the Democrats, but this is definitely bad for the Democrats. It's a terrible thing. It does not look good. And it blows up their whole problem here. It blows up everything to do with what they've been doing today. They've been trying to make this whole theater show about how this is all about Trump trying to censure people and to make sure that nothing comes out about the Epstein files. Nothing's ever going to come out. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to go over it. Oh, it's all Trump. But then there's Democrat members of Congress in direct communication with Jeffrey Epstein during a hearing in 2019. I think it's relevant. I think it's definitely relevant. But here's the response from this, which is even crazier. According to the Democrats, that doesn't matter at all because, just listen to Raskin here talk about this. And he's just saying, this is amazing. This is his cover story for this so they don't censure her.
Well, they want to give them another headline, which is that they've arraigned a Democratic member for taking a phone call from her constituent, Jeffrey Epstein, in the middle of a hearing. And of course, I don't think there's any rule here against taking phone calls in a hearing. Now, if you want to actually give her the chance to explain what happened, then we would take it to the Ethics Committee. I still don't see what the charge is. Where is the ethical transgression? Where is the legal transgression? Are you saying anybody on your side of the aisle who had a phone call with Jeffrey Epstein should be censured? Be careful your answer there, because there's a lot more that's about to come out, right? So you should think about what is the principle behind this rush to judgment. I want to close just with this thought, because I know there were a lot of people in the chamber who were here when this happened and a lot who weren't.
So there you go. Raskin, all around great guy and legal upstanding citizen and constituent. There's nothing wrong with him talking to a member of Congress during the hearing. What's wrong with that? There's no moral problems there. Oh, come on. Everyone stop talking about it. No one talk about it. No, what do you mean? There's nothing wrong with this at all. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it's nuts. Does anyone else like this is not important? This is not relevant at all. It's now the Democrats are covering for their own during this whole saga that they created. Why would you not want to talk about this? This is obvious a huge problem for them. This is one of their own members, one of their members of the conservative, like amazing stuff, really. But it's not illegal, and we don't need to talk about it, and we can have it go through the ethics committee because I don't see what's morally wrong with a phone call, even though it wasn't a phone call. It was text messages, and it was while she was talking to Cohen, she was getting instructions from Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know. I think that's a problem. I think so. Maybe? No? I don't know. I just think that's a bit crazy to me. Watching these people try and twist themselves into knots over it is amazing, though. So this is what they did, but then you go in even further, and Stacey Plaskett herself responds, which is even better. So let's go ahead and listen to Stacey, who just absolutely melts down about this here.
Mr. Raskin, to my former professor in law school, and I want to address the body. I first want to give you all a sense of what was happening that day. Everyone knows at that hearing in February, the entire country was watching. As Michael Cohen decided he was going to finally give up information about what was happening in the Trump world, the Trump enterprise. And at the beginning of that hearing, the ranking member, Jim Jordan, had the disrespect to Elijah Cummings, may he rest in peace and his name be a memory, after not allowing Mr. Jordan to shut the committee hearing down. And I turned to Mr. Jordan and told him to have respect for the chair and to basically shut up. And that moment went viral. And I began to get innumerable texts from friends, from foes, from constituents about what was happening in that hearing. And I got a text from Jeffrey Epstein, who at the time was my constituent, who was not public knowledge at that time that he was under federal investigation, and who was sharing information with me. Now, I heard recently from someone that I was seeking advice from him. Let me tell you something. I don't need to get advice on how to question anybody from any individual. I have been a lawyer for 30 years. I have been a narcotics.
I love this. She gets all bent out of shape about this. Like, oh, I don't need to take advice from nobody about who I question except Jeffrey Epstein, apparently. He was telling you what to say. I think that's pretty interesting there, Plaskett. And you may not like it, but, I mean, you were the one that was texting him, so you answer it. And by the way, I think they did move forward with the censuring. I don't know if that's actually happened yet. I need to go look into that. I haven't been able to pay attention for the past hour or so. But yeah, I think that there definitely should be a censuring for this. And there should be a lot more, to be honest with you. I think there should be asking some serious questions of Plaskett that exclude just censorship. So we'll see. We'll see what's going on here. I just find it amazing that we don't want to talk about the problems for the Democrats during this. The only people that matter is we got to make sure it's somehow only about Trump, even though it has nothing to do with Trump, and that if there was anything in here about Trump, they would have already released it. But, whatever. The Democrats want to play this game, and this is what I'm talking about when it comes to political theater. It is political theater, guys. This whole shebang, this whole ordeal, this is why Trump called it a hoax, because this whole giant mess has only been so the Democrats have something to talk about. That's it. They don't have any policy that's working for them. Their policy sucks. The only thing that they're even remotely above water on is healthcare. That's all they've ever been above water on. That's all they've really got. So now they've tried to glom onto this Epstein stuff, and I think it's going to backfire. I think it's going to backfire on them drastically, and I think this is only the first wave of that. Wait until more of this stuff starts coming out. I mean, if there's more members of the House and there's more members that are going to have stuff like that, they've made this. They've set themselves up in this, and I think they're going to have to lie in their bed after they've made it. I think that's what's going to end up happening here. Okay, guys, make sure you guys share this space out. If you guys are listening on the X space, or you guys are listening on WCDispatch.com or on Rumble, thank you guys for showing up this evening. If you guys would like to join the show and you have any comments on the circus that happened today, you are welcome to come up here and request and come up here and make comments, or you can ask me questions. There is other topics we're going to cover this evening, but I think I want to stick on this for a little bit here. because of just how absurd this whole circus was today. So, guys, if you would like to come up and join the show, just request on X. You have to go to x.com to actually join the show. You have to go to x.com, go to @WCDispatch, and you can join the show. And you can make any comments you want. You can argue with me about whatever you want. You're welcome to come up here and join me. So thank you guys for showing up this evening. Make sure you guys share this link out. If you have a comment, you can always put a comment below. I do read all of the comments throughout the show. I try to keep up with as many as I can. It's kind of difficult because it's just me here, but I appreciate it. And Jacktron just came up here. What is up, Jacktron?
Hey, I just wanted to, you were asking about this censure vote against Stacey Plaskett. I can give you an update on that.
Okay, what's up?
So it failed, first off, but there was one Republican that voted against censuring Stacey Plaskett, and I'll give you one guess who it was.
Oh, let me guess. It was Massey.
It was Massey.
Of course it was. Like, this is what I'm talking about with Massey, people. Like, this is why I don't like Massey. Because what does he do? What does he do for the Republicans? What has he done for the Republicans this year? He has voted against everything that the president, like every single part of the agenda, he's voted against it. He is constantly counter-signaling. And now he's going out here and he doesn't want to vote on a censorship for this. I mean, come on, dude. This is why no one likes this guy. This is why he's so unpopular amongst the GOP generally, and why he's going to get primaried. I think he's like, I've been looking at some of the primary, like the statistics in his district. His polling is not looking great. I don't think we're long to have a Massey around forever. I don't think it's going to work out for him at all. So the theatrics of this has just been absurd. Massey's the one that's been leading the charge on the theatrics on this, and now we're going to get through this, and it's going to be even more theatrics as we get it. I'm wondering what the Senate vote's going to look like. I'm very curious how this is going to go. Of course,
Well,
that
the Senate
clown.
already voted for this Epstein thing.
Did they?
Yeah, they did. It passed.
Today?
Yeah, today.
Oh, really? That's cool. So it's going to President Trump's desk then?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I wasn't aware. I must have missed that. I've been busy for the past couple hours, so I missed that vote. So that means that what was the vote in the Senate? Did it pass unanimously?
That detail I'm not sure yet. I just know that Chucky was very proud of it.
Well, you know, Chucky has imaginary friends, so he's proud of anything that he gets done. You know, I'm not really too worried about Chucky. But, you know, I'm curious then. So that means Trump will go in there and he'll sign the documents. And then after everything comes out, what's going to happen then? I mean, especially when there's not anything in there that has anything to do with Trump. That's what's going to be funny to watch. There's going to be nothing about Trump. There's going to be a bunch of other people in Congress that are probably going to be named in it. And then people are going to go nuts over it. Now, of course, the other side of this is that the problem with conspiratorial stuff like this is that it is never enough. It is never enough. There's never going to be an end to it. So I've already seen people talking about it earlier today, that people are saying that they're sanitizing the documents as we speak before they come out. So, you know, it's going to be absurd. Like, it's going to be, they're going to say that after something comes out, and I have a sneaking suspicion that it's going to be a giant nothing burger. That there's going to be a bunch of members of Congress that are somewhat like they're sort of attached to this. But at the end of the day, nothing's really going to be that big of a deal. And of course, because of that, there's not going to be anything major in it. That they're going to go nuts, and that we're going to say that they've sanitized the documents, and then it'll just keep on rolling because that's how this stuff goes. So
I'm already seeing the narrative play, and I'm already seeing posts from Cenk Uygur, and I'm already seeing them from Grasenstein and this account, Darth Powell. They're all saying, like, oh, they're all scrubbing the stuff from Republicans.
Yeah, well, that's what they're doing. Like, that's what my point is. They're going to say they're scrubbing it, that they're sanitizing the documents, that it's all of this. I mean, it's never going to end. They've seized on this narrative. The Democrats have decided this is their big thing, and they're going to make it this big thing forever. Even though there's going to be a bunch of Democrats that are going to be in there, but they're not going to talk about those at all. I mean, just like the fact that their most recent emails that they started showing, where they said, well, there was a victim with Trump that spent hours with Trump, and it was Virginia Giuffre. But they removed her name, they redacted the name, and they still are going out there. I mean, Norm Eisen just yesterday was on MSNBC, not even mentioning her name at all, even though they know it's her, and they're even coming out and lying about that. So, you know, whatever.
Norm Eisen is the devil.
Norm Eisen's just the lead of the lawfare. This is why I don't like it when people don't understand what they can't see through this. It's so obvious. It's so clear what they're doing, what the Democrats are doing with this. It's so obvious to everybody, or it should be obvious to everybody. But apparently a bunch of people are falling for it. So, you know, and I love it when I mentioned to somebody earlier, it's like, do you guys not see like how clear the psyop is from these people? It's just another big media operation, and everyone wants to ignore it and act like it's not some big media operation. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Of course, it's a big media operation. This is the same thing. They wouldn't have brought it up in the first place. Again, to bring up the point from before, if they wanted to actually care about the victims, they would have released this stuff 4 years ago when they were in charge of everything. But they didn't. Why didn't they? Because it was not politically beneficial for them to do so, so they didn't care. Now it's politically beneficial because they've created this whole narrative around it, and they've managed to get a couple Republicans that are going to try and go against the GOP and intentionally bring this up so that they can gain themselves some, some cred of some kind. I don't know how it's going to work out for them. To be honest with you, like the two, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Massey going along with this and being at the front of this line, is standing at, at protests where they've got signs in the background that say that Trump is a pedophile. I'm telling you, you guys live in these plus 20, plus 16, plus 20 Republican districts, and you're going to go against Trump. I think you're going to be very surprised how easily you get primaried. That's what my thought is. If you think that all of your voters are paying attention to this in your district and they're not going to listen to Trump bringing out somebody that's going to be a better primary candidate and giving them a bunch of money, you're going to be very surprised. You're going to be very surprised. I just, it's Trump has said to move on to more important things. I agree. That's what we should have been doing the whole time. I mean, this is the other part of this. How much of a distraction is this circus? This whole event today in D.C. was just a giant circus show. People accusing each other of being in the files. People not accusing each other of being in the files. People accusing each other of being part of the files or not being part of the files or trying to cover it up. It's just on and on and on and on. I mean, this is why I keep telling people that Trump was right when he started mentioning this. He said, "Look, guys, if there was something else in there, they would have used it against me. And you know that, and everybody knows that, but they still wanted to argue about it. They want to claim that this is some big deal, that this is somehow they're going to get Trump with this. Trump was a Nazi and a fascist and a dictator for 10 years, but then that stopped having the same effect. So now he's a pedophile. That's what they claim now. So like after all of this, after all of the attacks on Trump, after everything they did to him, now after that, they couldn't figure out anything to pin him with at this time. So they came up with this, and now they're claiming that this is it. This is the end all be all. I mean, this is it. This is the final thing they have to go against Trump because, I mean, what else are they going to call him at this point? Okay, they've called him Hitler, which is, Satan personified essentially in their eyes. So Hitler is the top of the chain, but that wasn't working anymore because, and here's the reason that didn't work is because he was already president and then he left the presidency. So then when he left the presidency, it's kind of hard to say that he's like an authoritarian dictator that's never going to relinquish power because he did. And then he wasn't president for a while. And then he came back and won. And now he's a dictator again? I mean, so he's never going to leave power ever again, even though he already did. I don't know. And it's insane. Trump is the most orange, racist, horrible president that's ever existed to these people. They can't stand him. They hate him. Everything about him is terrible. I can't wait. I cannot wait until they bring out Vance. Okay, because the next thing they're going to have to do, they're going to have to pivot against Vance. And I've already seen a little bit of this. It's starting a little bit. They're saying, I saw this the other day. There was a New York Times article saying, Trump isn't as bad, and Vance is skating on the fringes of the right-wing politics. He's even more radical than Trump. So if Trump was Hitler and a pedophile and all this, like, what are you going to label Vance as? Like, is he going to be double Hitler? I mean, is he mega Hitler? I mean, I don't understand. What are you going to go with here? I'm not sure how they're going to be able to spin it because they've had this whole narrative for so long that Trump is the most evil person that's ever existed. But now they're going to move it on to Vance because they think Vance is the next in line. So I'm very interested to see what Vance ends up becoming. And I've already seen the attacks on his wife. I've already seen the attacks on his family. I've already seen the attacks on his staff. They're going after his staff because he's got a staffer that apparently watches Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes or something. So they claim that he's evil. So they're already going after Vance. But how are you going to paint him as worse than Trump? Because Trump is the worst thing that's ever happened. He's the threat that you can never understand how much of a constitutional terrible threat Trump is. But now Vance has got to be worse than that. So what is that going to look like? It's going to be very interesting to watch. Go ahead, Jack Tron.
Oh, I don't have my hand up. Sorry.
Oh, it shows it for me. Okay, guys, if you guys would like to join the show, you guys can come up here. There's another thing I want to talk about this evening. One of the other big stories that happened today. There's a couple other things we could go over for the Epstein stuff, but the other big story that happened today was actually down in Texas, or not just Texas. I was actually Dearborn, Michigan. So Dearborn, Michigan, there was this giant protest that happened today. And it got pretty interesting. Jacob Lang showed up, and he had a very interesting rally where he had this anti-Americans against Islamization, essentially is what he was calling it, which, you know, Dearborn, for those who have somehow missed this, the Dearborn has been having issues with the Muslim population there, and apparently they're playing the call to prayer at 5 a.m, waking people up. There's been a very interesting move against Muslim population. There's been a bunch of big events where they show people in burqas and everything else. So today there was this big protest there, and a bunch of people showed up for it. But Jacob Lang showed up, and he was probably the most provocative out of everybody. So I want to play just one clip here because I'll tell you one thing. I don't know much about Jake Lang. I know he's a J6er. That's pretty much all I really know about the guy. But I will say that if you're trying to provoke a reaction from people, this might be the best way you could possibly do it. So here's Jacob Lang, and he has a packet of bacon, and he is smacking a Quran with it, which is just ridiculous. So here you go. Check this out.
Hey, yo, guys.
So for those who just watch or just listening to this, it looks like every single one of these protests you've ever seen. Every single one of these Antifa-style protests, it looks just like it. There's a bunch of protesters. There's one provocateur, essentially, or one person with a camera, and they're chasing after him. But the difference on this one is that Jacob Lang actually has a full slab of bacon, and he is beating a Quran with it, which is just, I mean, it's pretty damn funny. If you got to admit that that's a hysterical way to piss people off. That's definitely a pretty strong way to piss people off. So that was pretty damn funny. So he's out there beating a Quran with that. Apparently, he tried to light a Quran on fire as well. And then here's the other strange thing about this. At some point in the midst of this, they also go to this bus. And this is something that I actually have some questions about. So they have this bus here. This bus that has the governor for Michigan, the guy that's running for governor for Michigan, and he starts spray painting this bus. Now, I just want to play this real quick, and then I have a comment on this because I found this out afterwards. So here you go.
Real law is not going to ever stand in America. And this traitor here, who bowed down in the mosque last week, Anthony Hudson. The American crusade has begun! We got no room for traitors. We got no room for cowards. We got no room for traitors. This is America first. This is America only. You're worse. You're worse than the Islamic bastards, white men who turn against their own.
So, if you're just listening to this,
Anthony
they have
Hudson,
this
you're
bus,
weak,
okay?
spineless cat.
They've got this bus that has the governor's, the guy, Anthony Hudson, the guy running for governor in Michigan, okay? So they've got this bus, and he goes up and spray paints on the side of it, "Cuck." So, now here's the problem with this. One, the bus isn't from Anthony Hudson. It's not Anthony Hudson's bus. It has nothing to do with his campaign. So that means that they got a bus, they brought a bus, they had it decked out for this event just so they could do this. And that's why they had one of their people, you know, getting out of the bus, waving an American flag, saying this is the next American crusade. So my question is, who the hell funded this? I mean, what on earth is going on here? This is not some organic thing. You don't just have like a full commercial bus show up to an event that's been actually decorated in your opponent's opposition. So Jake Lang's apparently running for governor in Michigan. I have no idea what kind of chances he have. I haven't really looked at that. But just this right here, who is funding that? That is the most absurd thing I think I've seen. That if you actually, it's not like this is some campaign bus for this guy. You got a bus, you had it decked out in his campaign material, drove it there, and then you spray paint it with your stuff. What? I mean, does anyone else not see how strange this is? This is very odd. So I don't know who's funding this whole thing, this entire event, but it seems very inorganic. Let's just say that. Not that it's not funny, not that it's not that it's probably not a good thing. I'm not sure how I feel about the whole idea of showing up and doing this, but at the same time, I think it's a good thing. I mean, it showing up and going against Islam in the country is a good thing, but this seems a bit outlandish. I mean, this is just over the top. He's going out there beating a Quran with bacon. He's trying to burn Qurans. He's got a bus here somehow that who paid for the bus, where'd the bus come from. I have questions. Let's just put it that way. I have lots of questions. And I find it very interesting because for those who follow my work here, I actually had put a poll out last week, and I was talking about where the next investigative article series I was going to do. And I actually said, I listed 4 options, and Dearborn, Michigan was one of them. So I intend to go up and do an investigative series up in Dearborn, Michigan. And my intention is to go up and look and see if I can find instances of Sharia law being practiced. That's my intention. That's what I was going to do. It was going to kind of be, an under-the-table kind of operation. I've got some people and contacts up there, so I'm going to go up there and do that. But this is, within a week of that, these people, like a whole group of people show up there. Cam Higby's there. All of the on-the-ground journalists are there. Like a Turning Point Front Lines is there. There's all these people that show up. And then Jake Lang shows up with bacon, Quran, a bus painted, and then starts spray painting stuff and being provocative in public. I don't know what's going on here because, one, if you did this and, if you actually did this, and this is how you know it's not actually his, but, it's not actually the guy's bus. One, that would just be property damage. That's all that would be, spray painting someone else's bus in the middle of public on video and making sure you catch it on video. That would just immediately be property damage and you'd have to pay for the repainting of said bus. But it's his. It's their bus. They brought it. So I don't know what's going on in this scenario here. It's very interesting, though. So I don't know if this is still continuing. There was a number of videos that continue to show, protesters clashing essentially with the anti-Islam people and the pro-Islam people. So this has been a pretty interesting day watching this strange event happening up in Dearborn. But I don't know what to really think about it yet. We've got Southern up here. What's up, Southern Belle?
I just, I'm waiting for the other shoe to fall. I saw Jamie Raskin saying, what's such a big deal of getting together for lunch? You people have this kind of problem? And he was talking about Stacey Plaskett. And they did a vote for censure, and Thomas Massey did not vote no.
Yeah, we were just talking about that a second ago.
Oh, good, good. Okay, good. Because I just keep waiting. There's something we're missing here. This noise, anytime the Dems, ramp it up, they're hiding something else. So I think there's something on the perimeter of all this. But as far as the Epstein things, Giffrey's ghostwriter made it very clear that she liked Trump. And Trump was doing something about it. She spoke very positively about it. And the ghostwriter is on X with her video being interviewed. And that is the one, they want to blacken out her name and use her against Trump. It doesn't work. Trump is the one that put him in prison, basically. So I don't really understand how they're going to spin this.
I don't know how they're going to spin it at all. I mean, their spin doesn't make any sense to me. Their spin doesn't make any sense to me at all. So, the fact that Plaskett was texting him, why are we acting as if that's not a big deal? That seems like a pretty big deal to me. So,
to me, I see that as interference in our government. That's a big no-no. But the reality is, there's nothing on Trump. The reason he ended up in prison is because of Trump. And he made it very clear in all that mess that he hated Trump and he wanted to get back at Trump. So I'm really confused. Where did the Dems think they had something? I don't see any gotchas on Trump. It doesn't make sense.
This is what they're doing. They're just saying that they see the pictures of Trump with Epstein, and they're just saying, "Look, Trump's implicated in the Epstein files," because they know people are too lazy to go research it for themselves.
Well, I mean, that's what I think is part of it. And their whole idea is that just because Trump is mentioned, that's enough for them. I guess that's what their concept is here. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know. It just seems strange to me. But back on topic here, what I was just talking about a minute ago, this strange event up here in Dearborn, and that's what we went backwards there, by the way. We can go back over to the Epstein topic here in a minute, but I want to talk about this ridiculous event up here in Dearborn, because what exactly is this? Does anybody have any information on who funded this rally, where this whole thing came from, why this whole thing showed up overnight? It seems like I saw the first post about this 2 days ago, and then there's a whole ton of people out there, and there's this giant protest. I didn't hear about this weeks in advance. I don't know about anybody else. But then Jacob Lamb out here with this giant bus that he's got with this information on here seems a bit strange. Just a comment here. I mean, I don't know what to say about it. It seems very odd that this funding just showed up out of nowhere, that this whole event shows up, and they've got this extremely provocative event, burning Qurans and doing everything else up here. Where did it come from? That's my comment here. Like, where did it come from? Like, where did this whole event come from here? I don't know. It seems very strange to me. Let's see here. So Jake and Cam and others testified at a council hearing after March. Cam called out the mayor. Okay, so that's interesting. I didn't know that. I hadn't heard that yet. We brought another person up here. What's up, Renee? Nope. Renee dropped. Okay. Go ahead, Jacktron.
All right, so I think the other really big story that came out today was coming out of Texas, where Greg Abbott signed legislation that officially designated the Muslim Brotherhood and the Council of the, I think it's the Atlantic Islamic Relations, as terrorist organizations. That is massive. That has been something that we have been pushing for a very long time. Now we just need to make sure that the White House reciprocates.
Interesting. So someone actually has a comment here that actually is on topic for this. So the bus was provided by the campaign manager who removed it from the candidate after he bent the knee to the Muslims in Dearborn. That I hadn't heard. That's pretty interesting. That's very interesting. He gave it to Jake specifically for this event. Now that's pretty interesting. I hadn't heard that either. So that makes a little bit more sense where the bus came from, but I hadn't heard that story yet. So it seems to me very interesting things happening up here in Dearborn. The other side of this is what we want. The other part of this to talk about is that earlier today, Greg Abbott came out and announced that he wanted to, that he was going to designate the Muslim Brotherhood and CARE as part of a foreign terrorist organization, and they're going to do that at the state level. Now that's pretty interesting too. And I didn't even know that was really something you could do at a state level. Apparently you can though. So that's new information that came out this morning. That was from Greg Abbott. So I think this is pretty interesting stuff. So apparently Jake talked about this on a live stream, what they did to get a hold of the bus. That's pretty cool. I mean, if that's actually true, that he managed to get it from the former campaign manager, that's pretty interesting. I like that. That means that the people are not happy about the fact that this guy, that Hudson was going along with the Muslims in Michigan. So that's pretty interesting. I hadn't heard that stuff, so I'll have to check that out. I'll have to look that. If you could send, that's Bucky S. Bitch. Send me that information, please. If you send that in to me in a DM, I'd like to read about that. That's pretty interesting. I hadn't heard that. But this whole event, regardless, it was pretty crazy. So it did get a bit more violent. And there's something else I wanted to bring up specifically on this. Because at some point in the midst of this, and this is an important point, I think people always seem to, we seem to have an issue on the right where we can't seem to actually understand that we do actually have an enemy here. So there's something here. This is a America First protester that showed up at this. And when I say America First, I'm talking about the America First as in the people that wear the blue hats, the Nick Fuentes crowd people. So just watch this video here, and then I want to talk about this for a second here.
I want to talk to you. Get the fuck back over.
Get walking, Nazi. Get fucking walking, Nazi.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm not trying to be recorded. I just want to open dialogue.
Keep going, motherfucker. Keep going. Keep going.
No one wants to dialogue with a Nazi.
I voted for Bernie in 2015. I really
Yeah, so you voted for the Nazi. Fuck you. Fuck you. Keep walking, motherfucker.
Please. Get out of here.
Keep going, you fucking Nazi.
I'm just trying to have dialogue, man.
I don't care about your fucking dialogue. Your dialogues are based off the extermination of other people. Get the fuck across the street, motherfucker. Get the fuck across the street.
We're not hostile.
So, for those who aren't watching this and just listening, this is the reason I wanted to bring this up. Okay, so there's a constant fight right now going on between the right about, certain people on the right, some people being on the right, and they don't like these people on the right because they talk about things they don't like. And I want to remind people that we do have actual adversaries. And that's kind of my point here. You're watching this guy, and he's just standing there. He's got an America First hat on, which is the Nick Fuentes America First hat, and he's holding a crucifix in his right hand. Okay, so he's holding a cross. He's wearing the America First hat, and he's just standing there. He's just standing there. He's not doing anything. He says, I just want to talk. I just want to have something to say. And this person is screaming in his face, calling him a Nazi, telling him to get out of here, go away, and getting in his face, being extremely aggressive. And the reason I want to bring this up is because I want everyone to be reminded that there is an enemy that we have in the country that is not people on the right saying things that you disagree with. There is an enemy group of people that are willing to attack you in the street and accost you just for standing by and asking questions or talking to people. Okay? This is what you should probably remember when you're talking about, oh my goodness, we can never have anything in common with these people. We can never have anything in common with anybody on the right if they talk about things we don't like. Well, who is your enemy in this scenario? Who do you side with in that scenario that you just watched? Who? Do you side with the guy screaming in his face, yelling at him and telling him to get out of here, telling him he's a Nazi and then he needs to go away, that he needs to be thrown out? Like, I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want anything to do with you're disgusting. Go away. Being extremely aggressive in his face, spitting on him nearly. Who do you side with? Just ask the question to yourself. Anybody here? Anybody that is upset about the things that certain people on the right say, who do you side with in that clip? Because I know who I would. That's absurd. And we know that these people are like this. And this is not just this is a common thing amongst the Antifa crowd. They attack people in public. They get away with it. Cam Higbee, earlier in this same event here, he was attacked and someone pepper sprayed him and he was walking on the street. All he was doing is videotaping. That's all Cam really does. He talks to people and he videotapes everything, and he was attacked and nothing happened. Okay, and the Dearborn police, he tried to file a report. They didn't do anything either. So the reason that I'm bringing all this up is that you see this fight happening on the right, and there's these people that disagree with each other, and they go back and forth constantly online. But there are people that are the opposite side of the spectrum entirely, and that's them. That's who you should be opposing. You shouldn't be yelling at the opposite side. You may not agree with them. You may disagree with them on very key issues. That's true. But you have to remember who the actual problems we have in this country are coming from. And it's not from the guy standing there wearing an America First hat, holding a crucifix, standing on the side of the street. You know, side with the guy in the blue hat. Of course you would. That's the point that I'm trying to make here. I just want people to be reminded that despite the differences that you may have with people that you can vehemently disagree with them on all sorts of different issues, but you can disagree with them in a civil manner. The left does not disagree with us in a civil manner at all. And that's what my point is here. You know, you've got a group of people out there that hate you. They don't just disagree with you. They hate you. They want your families to die. They want your kids to die. They want to do anything they can to harm you and your family and your way of life, everything to do with you. That's what they want for you. Okay? That's the difference. That's the key difference that everyone seems to forget. Everyone seems to forget about it when you're fighting about people online. Like, did you see what he said? It's so bad. That's so bad. It's so evil. The people on the other side don't care what you stand for. They despise you. They despise you. They do not care about where you stand on any of the foreign policy issues. No, they don't want any of that. Okay? And that's what the point I'm trying to make here is, because there's a lot of people that want to argue and talk about this all the time. They want to say who you can talk to, who you can't talk to, who you should side with, who you shouldn't side with. Well, in this scenario here, I think it's pretty obvious who I would side with, because one side is being disgusting and vile and hateful, and the other person's just standing there. So you can think about it how you want. And if you have any comments on it, you're welcome to come up here and join the show and talk about it. You're welcome to come up and request. Go to x.com if you're on the other streams on all the other platforms. There's, if you're on Rumble, YouTube, wherever you may be. Go to x.com, go to @WC Dispatch. You're welcome to come up here and join the show. And I've got, so it looks like I brought up two people. I've got Pepe Le Pew and I've got Hill. So what's up, guys?
So the Epstein file release passed with only Clay Higgins voting against it.
Yes. Yeah, Clay Higgins, which was a stupid move on his part. Now, he had his principled reason. He was saying, this is a dangerous thing to do, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, Higgins, what are you doing, man? Hill, go ahead.
Hi, Walter. Yeah, I agree with everything that you just said about Cam Higbee and the situation there and who the real enemy is. I guess the issue we're having is that, they're trying to, the issue we're having on the right between the America First and the MAGA crowd, I guess that's the division. The president is obviously pro-Israel, and America First is pretty much taking the stance that they're not pro-Israel. So they're kind of trying to force the Israel issue in between MAGA and what's happening in places like Dearborn, Michigan, and perhaps may happen in New York, as you know, as soon as this mayor gets sworn in. So, I agree with you. We got to get the conversation back on track because we're missing something very important that needs to be focused on. These people they don't like America. They've been telling us that for 30 or 40 years in no uncertain terms. And meanwhile, we're fighting over, I don't know what.
Well, what we're fighting over is policy. Okay, so that's really what the fight is. We're fighting over policy, and that's fine.
Which policy do you? That's fine. But which policy? You mean whether we should be funding other countries in their whatever military or other aid?
Essentially, that's what the main argument amongst these people is. Yeah. They just the argument amongst the America First crowd versus the MAGA crowd is that they think that we are too entangled in foreign problems, which in some argument you can say is true. I mean, maybe we're too involved. Now, I disagree entirely. I think we should just be the American empire, but that's a whole other conversation. That was yesterday's show. But that's a whole different thing.
More than that, to be honest, Walter. I think it's a little bit more than just that. I think it's more just the fact that we see people pushing this whole multipolarity operation. Yes, we should be pulling back. But what they argue really more is that they want isolationism.
Well, listen, but again, guys, you're missing the point here. Okay, the point is your argument is with policy. Okay, policy arguments are fine. You can have a policy argument. Can you have a policy argument with a guy that's screaming in your face, telling you you're a Nazi and that he despises you and wants you to die? Can you have that argument? That's the point.
Absolutely not. We can get a point across either way.
That's the point.
And they don't want to have a conversation. I mean, we know that. I mean, they are here. I mean, I can't speak for every one of them, but I do know that, let's take the case of Israel for one brief moment. The fact of the matter is that there are even people in Israel who thought that the Palestinians, some of them wanted peace and we could work something out. No, they have said from the very beginning that that's not what they want. They want every Jew to be out of Israel and return it to whatever the hell they think it was before. And I think what we have here are some people who've come to this country who've decided that, we're in the house of, what do they call it? The house of Hajj war. And that they're going to take over our country piece by piece, city by city, state by state, until this is an Islamic country. It sounds preposterous, but I've seen their written plans, and some of them are very elaborate and long term.
Well, so again, my point is here again going into this, and we can have that discussion too. But the point is about the people that we're seeing out here in the streets and reminding people who your enemy really is. And here's another version of this, by the way. Here's another version of this. So this is a guy that was in the streets earlier, and this is another video for, I believe this is Cam Higbee. So listen to what this guy has to say.
Why do you hope that? You hope he gets killed because you don't like him? What? You hope he gets killed because you don't like him? Yeah? Is that what Muslims believe? Oh, well, you're a Muslim, right? And you believe it. Why? Do you think maybe it's a value problem? It seems that way. You're not representing your people very well right now. Yeah, so you want him dead because you don't like him. You want him dead because you don't like him. Yeah, right, yeah. Get the fuck out of here. Get away from me. How many people you got in this shit? 10,000. Yeah, suck my dick. Okay, I'm a liar. He just said he hopes Jake gets Charlie Kirk. You hope I get Charlie Kirk? Yeah. Say it again. Welcome to Dearborn, guys. Welcome to Dearborn.
So once again, who is the enemy in your scenario here? Are you worried about what people on the right are arguing about on policy, or about the guy that's just telling people in the streets that he hopes that you die and that you get Charlie Kirked, is what he was saying, by the way, if you couldn't hear it. It's a bit difficult to come through on the audio there. That's the point here. Just remember who your enemy is, guys, because the left and the Islamist group that they've decided to align themselves with, they don't care about policy. They don't care at all about policy, guys. That's not what they're arguing about. They're not here to argue about policy. They're here for what they want, which is they want the destruction of this country. That is all they care about. That is all they care about. That's what they want. They want the destruction of this country. They want destruction of every part of it, Western values, every piece of it. They want to get rid of it. So I just want people to remember this stuff because this is all part of it. These people are all arguing. We're arguing amongst ourselves when the left has this unified front that is not interested in talking about policy. They're not interested in arguing with you about how you think about foreign aid or what you think about other countries. They don't care about any of that. That doesn't mean anything at all to them. That's what the point is. They oppose everything to do with this country. And that's, it's important for everyone to remember that, because we've had this fight over top of the right for a while now. And I hope people start to see this, because who is the real problem? Who is the problem? Like, to give you your priorities straight, okay? Even if you say that the people that you disagree with on the right are a big problem and you think that you need to get rid, like, at some point you have to have that argument. But you're forgetting that while you're having that argument now, the opposite side of the aisle is aligning with people like that. That's the deal. And I hope everyone pays attention to that and remembers that. Go ahead, Hill, and then I've got a new speaker up here.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say in that case, I think what Cam Higbee and company did was a good thing, because this is the first time that I'm aware of that anybody has gone out to confront this, where it's actually happening. So,
I agree.
Let's see if this gets some traction.
I hope so. I hope it does get some traction, because it deserves it. I mean, it should get some traction, getting people to pay attention to this. And I just want the right to be refocused, man. If there's anything I can do, and the one thing I've been talking about for months now is that I'm tired of everyone fighting with each other all the time about things that really, at the end of the day, are they important? Sure. But where are your priorities? Your priorities need to be, how do we keep the left from getting control again? Because if the left retakes control again, these are the people that will be in charge. These radicals are the ones that are going to be in charge. They are the ones that are going to take power. And if you think that they're going to be even, like, what are they going to be nice to you? Do you think they're going to care about your policy disagreements then? Do you think they're going to care about your foreign problems then? They don't care at all. They don't care at all. I mean, it's time for us to pay attention, guys, because this is what I'm getting at. Okay, Pamela the Scott, you can come up. You just came up here. What is up?
Hi. I honestly, if it wasn't, the people out there, in our party, I'm not really a Republican, I'm more conservative. But anyway, that are out there, all they want, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a freaking press hoe. She just camera, give me a camera, give me a camera. These people are out for themselves. They are not a representative of anything in what we really actually want. We do not, and Massey, he's out for himself. He's doing his own little thing to make it against Trump. That's really it all where it is. This is why we're losing any kind of respect or anything, because those people are out there destroying our country, our, thing that we want to be a part of, our party. They're showing what stupid people are really, who we really are at this point, letting them be our voices.
Well, and listen, the deal is, I don't think that they are our voices, to be honest with you. Okay, Nighthawk, you came up here. What's up?
Yeah, just, with this whole discussion with the protests and so forth, it's making me think, you're like, where in the world did they get the buzz? I'm starting to think, did some left-wing group fund them as almost like it's a fake operation to make them really provocative at the Muslims, so they have some kind of Islamophobia law like in Britain, saying they can't criticize them or
well,
anything.
we actually got an answer where the bus came from. So I didn't know where the bus came from. That's when my first question was. I was like, where did this thing come from? Like, that's not just something normal. Apparently, the campaign manager for the guy Hudson, he defected from Hudson and then gave the bus to Jacob Lang. That's where that came from. So that actually answered that question earlier, which I thought was pretty interesting. If that's true, that's pretty cool, actually. I mean, that's pretty amazing. I didn't know that. I just heard that earlier. Someone in the stream mentioned it to me. So pretty interesting stuff, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree on that. It's just one of those things. I just, you see the other countries with their stupid Islamophobia laws just trying to prevent them from saying anything while, their citizens get attacked, their young children get raped, all that's going on. It's just like, we do not need this in America. We got to stop it as soon as possible.
Well, and here's the thing, right? So this is why my argument and when I'm talking about this stuff is the video of that guy in the America First hat that he's being accosted by these radical Antifa people. I think that's a powerful video to look at, because you need to be reminded The reason that this is even happening in the first place, the reason that Dearborn is populated by a massive Muslim population is why. Why is it like that? Because the Democrats imported all of those people. The Democrats' policies made it so that it was super easy to immigrate, and they made sure to bring people from countries that people do not like us there. They imported tons of them. Go look at the Somalian population, the Somali population that they decided was some special group that they needed to bring a lot more of them here, and that's what's going on. That's where these people came from. That's where it all showed up. So you're arguing with people on the right that you dislike about their opinions on foreign policy when you've got a group of the opposite side. If it's up to them, they want to bring in these people. They want to bring in more of this. They want to bring in more radical people from other countries, and they will open that border back up, and they will open up that immigration process again, because those are the people that they want here, because they think it helps them politically. And that's what I'm trying to get across to people here tonight.
Even that Afghan withdrawal, when the Afghans came over to Camp Atterbury in Indiana, by the time they got done with months of being there, they trashed that military base, so the soldiers had to repair things. I think it was like $1 million or something of damage they done. Like, they were messing with pipes and everything else. We're like, what in the world are they doing there?
Yeah, well, I mean, you just look at what's happened. Dearborn is now a massive Muslim population, and we just elected Zoran Mamdani in New York. So, you know, people are arguing about stuff on the right when we should be paying attention to what's happening on the left. And we need to go back to focusing on the real enemy, because the real enemy is they don't care what we argue about. I mean, in fact, they love it. They want us to argue about it more. That's why they're all about this Epstein stuff. That's why they're all talking about the Epstein stuff, because they see it as a wedge issue to divide the right further. And the further the right gets divided, the more the right's divided, the more that they get more power. So if the right is not unified and fighting against them, then this is what you get. So that's why I like this protest today was actually worth paying attention to, because it actually proved that. I mean, it actually showed it. Susan Godfrey, you came up here. What's up?
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Susan.
I'm with you, Walter. I've been seeing all the griping, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm, as if people are acting as if there's an alternative. We don't have an alternative. The Democrats are our alternative, and that's not an alternative. So I'm with you. Let's get focused. And what's all the internal griping about?
The internal griping is about policy. Okay, and that's what my argument is. The internal griping is about policy, which I'm fine with having a discussion on policy, okay? I've got no problem arguing about policy, and we should. We should argue about policy, because the more you argue and discuss policy, the better your policy ends up being. That's the reality of it. So it's a good thing to actually have a discussion on policy, because it's somewhere in the middle of it you'll land where it's a positive thing for the country, and it's a positive thing for the party. But the opposite's been happening, okay? And this is the problem. The opposite's been happening. There's a whole group of people that have decided that just because you disagree with these people and what their positions are, and you claim that they have all these problems, you say, well, we need to get those people completely out. They're not part of the movement at all anymore. We're going to ostracize them entirely. And your result of doing that is you ostracize people, and you ostracize more than just those people, because there's other people that kind of glom onto that, even if they don't agree with them entirely on their positions. They don't like that you're ostracizing members of the right because they like those people. So you have a problem when you're pushing people out of the party, when we have an opposite reaction in the opposite party that they don't care. The opposite people don't care at all. The opposite party, they want mass immigration. They want mass destruction of the country. They want a full revolution. They want Marxist takeover. They want communism. So just keep this in mind when you're fighting with these people, because there's a real problem in the country, and it is not coming from just the people on the right. You may have major disagreements with people on the right, but just remember that the left is far, far worse, and we should not be fighting our own people. We should be destroying the left, which is what we should have been doing in the first place. And instead, we've spent the past 8 months fighting with the right.
We need to be as cohesive as the Democrats. That's what we need to be.
Well, I actually don't agree that we need to be uniform. You know, the one thing that the Democrats do is that they're almost completely uniform in their positions on stuff, and it's actually to their own detriment. Okay, so this is how they've had the radical problems. This is why they've had this insane policy that's grown into their party about, gender policies, all of this stuff, and they have no dissent, and you're not allowed to dissent within the party. That isn't good either. That's not good either. We don't want uniform dissent, but what we should have is at least civilized discussion amongst ourselves and stop attacking each other, because the left loves that. They're all for it. keep attacking each other. They love it. They want more of it. This is the best thing that's ever happened to them.
So the best thing they should be doing is discuss it among themselves. They can disagree, but when it comes to voting time, they all need to be together on that.
I mean, voting is one thing. I mean, the other side of that is that to get policy across is going to be reasonably difficult because the Democrats are just going to stonewall on everything. You know, if we really wanted to get legislation through, I would say that we should get rid of the filibuster. But, you know, that's a debate that I don't know if the country is going to be willing to go forward with. Now, the Republicans, I think, are foolish because if you think the Democrats won't immediately vote to get rid of it, they already did. Like, they already did once. Why would they not do it again? But the Republicans don't seem to worry about that. They don't seem to care. So I don't know. Okay, Nighthawk, you have your hand up. What's up?
I was just gonna say, like, about the voting. I don't know if you heard that earlier. I'm just saying, like, you know, they should discuss among themselves, even if there's disagreements. But when, you know, they got a bill up there, they should be voting together at that point. Like, they should have already had their disagreements, you know, before that time, and not just keep getting voted out on everything with your Massey's and your Ron Pauls and so forth.
Well, the problem is that, you know, Massey at this point, I think he like only votes for the Democrats. So I'm not really sure he has any intention to ever vote for the Republicans for anything. So
Yeah, it's kind of like McConnell. He's got like a chip on his shoulder no matter what. He's like, he's going to do whatever the Democrats do at this point.
Right. Go ahead, Jacktron.
Well, I was just going to say if we want to talk more about, Kair and the Muslim Brotherhood about their operations in the United States.
We can go. I mean, that's a deep topic, and we should probably have to cover that at length another night. We do only have about 30 minutes left in the show, so we can cover that. But there's another couple stories I want to get to. So let's actually focus on that another night. We can actually go deeper into that. But there's a couple other things I do want to get to this evening. Just for a bit of humor here, I think we need to cover this story that happened today, which was just fantastic. So this was President Trump earlier today when he was interacting with a reporter. And I love this. This is one of my favorite things about Trump and the Trump 2.0 is how he treats the press. So just listen to this. It's only a couple seconds.
Yeah, Jennifer, go ahead. Incriminating in the file, sir? Quiet.
So I don't know if you can hear it if you're just listening, but it's Trump on Air Force One, and he's talking to the press, and at some point one of the reporters is talking like back to him, and he just says, "Quiet, piggy." Now, just to be clear, I don't think he actually said piggy. I think he said Peggy, or there's like maybe it was McGee something. There's a couple different arguments here, but I don't care because I'm going with Piggy. Okay, I think it was Piggy. It was definitely Piggy. It was 100% Piggy. And the left, by the way, was so furious about this. They have been melting down all day long about Trump calling this person Piggy. And I find it fantastic. I mean, it's just great. I mean, I put a post about this when I saw this. I immediately posted about it. And I think I have 600 comments on that from lefties like, how dare you? Well, what's the matter with you? How could you possibly say that's a good thing that he called that person Piggy? Don't you have a daughter? You've got a picture with a daughter. What if someone called her Piggy? I'm like, listen, Piggy, be quiet, okay? I don't know what I find this hysterical. Like, I mean, I love it. There's no way you're going to convince me that this is not funny. I mean, Trump has just decided that the media, he used to kind of treat the media differently. He treated the media in this attitude amongst them that, he wanted good press. Like, that's what he wanted. And he was willing to argue with them, and he was mad when they wouldn't cover him fairly. In this term, it's opposite of that. It's just, I hate you. I don't care. You people are just useless little rodents, and he treats them like that. And I love it. By the way, I also have a photo here. I actually have an exclusive here. I found the reporter that he was referring to. So if you're watching the stream live, you can see this photo up on the screen here. This is an actual photo of the reporter, and it does look very similarly to the pig from Sesame Street, Miss Piggy. I don't know where they found the photo, but it looks just like her. So, I mean, I know that Trump was referring to her as Piggy, so maybe it was just being descriptive. Maybe it was Miss Piggy. I'm not sure, but This is the photo of the reporter, and this is you can see this live on the screen here. So this is the actual reporter that he was referring to as Miss Piggy. Whether Miss Piggy is upset or happy or sad that she was called Miss Piggy, I'm not sure, but Piggy needs to be quiet. So, and all of the lefties that were in my messages and constantly replying, 600 plus, it took everything I could earlier, like some of these comments, and people are like, how could you say that? I would never say that about anybody. It was very difficult for me personally to not quote post you with a photo from your own profile and say, shut up, Piggy. Like, it took a lot for me not to do that. So I didn't do that. I was restrained. I didn't refer to like 60 people as Piggy today, but I should have, because it was very funny. And I love how upset people get about this sort of stuff. The left is just screaming mad about this for whatever reason. They're acting as if I'm going to care that they're mad. But it was very funny, and I thought we should have just referred to all of them as Piggy. But this is indeed the reporter, so make sure you share that photo. Share that widely, because it turns out that Miss Piggy herself was there, and he was just talking to Miss Piggy, guys. So I don't, it's okay. Like, this fine. It's fine, okay? We don't need to worry about it. Like, stop being so upset. Stop being so hurt. And when it's a description that's accurate, you're allowed to say things. And, Trump's just going to be accurate. Okay, at least he what is it Trump said the other day, Jack Tron? He said that I just give you the facts. Well, he's giving you the facts. It was Miss Piggy. Okay, so get over it. Anyhow, so that was a funny story that happened today. That was earlier in the morning this morning. I thought it was hysterical. I thought it was great. So, anytime the left starts melting down over something, and this is the pigpocalypse, apparently. So the pigpocalypse happened this morning. We did survive. The left may not survive, though. It's the end-all, be-all to them. This is an attack on the freedom of the press because Trump told a reporter to shut up. I mean, the one thing I've never understood about this, you're a reporter that has access to the president of the United States, the most powerful person in the entire world, and you disrespect him constantly, and you wonder why he treats you like garbage. Well, why are you surprised? I mean, my favorite's actually when he starts passing them around the room. Like, I think Caitlin Collins was the worst one about that. Caitlin Collins, interrupted his press conference when he was talking about something, and he just started going on and on and on. And he's like, you know what? You're an idiot. You're stupid. You're terrible. Marco, why don't you tell her? And then Marco's like, you really are stupid, and you really are terrible. And he's like, well, Pam, what do you think about this? And Pam Bondi goes on, and he's like, well, Mr. Miller, what do you think? He just, there's 6 people in the administration just started berating Caitlin Collins. It was hysterical. I mean, it's just stop. She's already dead. It's okay. You don't need to hit her anymore. It was just great. I love that. I think we need to get back to that, because the media deserves the scorn that they get. I mean, are we going to pretend as if the media is some nice, fair institution that we need to be nice to? No one believes that, and no one cares about that. So I thought that was great today. Miss Piggy needs to be quiet. So be quiet, Piggy. Whether or not he actually said Piggy or not, I'm not really interested. It's much funnier that it is Piggy. So I'm just going to refer to it as Piggy. Even if it upsets people, that's even better. So a couple people are saying that I should have just taken those quotes out and said that, yes, you can be quiet, Piggy. And I agree. But I was restrained, okay? I was nice. I didn't call a bunch of people in my comments pigs today. I could have, but, I was nice. That's all right, though. Okay, so we can move on to another story, guys. Thank you guys for showing up this evening. If you guys are just joining this X Space, this is the Political Theater. This is a weeknight show. Shows up at 9 p.m. I was late today starting because I was on Trump Tuesday, which is Mark Naughton's show. If you guys don't know Trump Tuesday, that's a great show as well. They stream every Tuesday. I think it starts at 8, goes to 11. Make sure you guys check them out as well, and it's a great count. Mark Naughton, and that is James R. is the other account on there. Guys, if you'd like to join the show and you want to come up here and make comments, you are welcome to do so. You can go to x.com, go to @WCDispatch, and you can join the show and request to come up, and you can give any comments you would like. If you are in the show and you want to put a comment down below and you don't feel like saying something out loud, you're welcome to put it down in the comments. And my DMs are always open, by the way, so if you have any other questions or something like that, you can always send them to me. Okay, so let's move on to another topic here. Jack Tron, if you had something to add, go ahead.
Yeah, so we got a couple other topics there. Maybe the first one we could go over is, I don't know how much this is worth mentioning, but there was the story about Nicki Minaj collaborating with Mike Waltz and the genocide of Christians in Nigeria.
I did see this. This is actually reasonably interesting. So there is a clip to play on this. I'll go ahead and play a little bit of this. I don't even think it's that long, so I'll just go ahead and play this clip here.
I'd like to thank President Trump for prioritizing this issue and for his leadership on the global stage in calling for urgent action to defend Christians in Nigeria, to combat extremism, and to bring a stop to violence against those who simply want to exercise their natural right to freedom of religion or belief.
So that was Nicki Minaj, and she gave her remarks were much more extensive than that, but I thought that was a pretty interesting story. I don't really know much about Nicki Minaj other than the fact that she's a rap artist and that I've listened to her music before at some point in my life. But at this point, when you see stuff like this, you should give good behavior good props, and that was good. Okay, like that's a good goal. And that is a good comment. And she didn't do it. She didn't come out there and make some ridiculous statement. She showed up and she gave a keynote address and made a comment that I thought was very respectable. So I thought that was a good story. I think that's a good thing. I mean, this is not something that you should be you should always commend people that do good things. And that was definitely a good thing from Nicki Minaj today. So that is a good story and that is worth mentioning. The other thing I want to bring up here was this is probably the other strange thing that happened today, but this is not on the good side. This is back on the Democrats being strange and ridiculous. So this is Slotkin released this video earlier today. Now this, I'm not really sure what to think about this. I actually watched this for the first time earlier on the Trump Tuesday show. They played this clip. And I saw like a couple seconds of it earlier, but just listen to this. And if you're watching, watch this. And like this deserves some discussion. So let's go over this here.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly. Representative Chris Deluzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy. Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk. This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
or our Constitution.
We know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
the Army, or Navy,
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical.
And know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
the American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws,
our Constitution, and who we are as Americans. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
So, Democrats call for military coup against president? Maybe? I mean, I don't know. Is that too far? I mean, like, I don't know. It's a bit like ridiculous. What the hell was that? You know, you've got all of these different members of Congress coming out there. And by the way, I love that they're talking as if they're going to talk to the military, like the troops or something. You think the troops are listening to these people? Do you think they have any idea who any of these people are? I doubt it. Like most of these people are minor congressmen. The only person in there was a senator was Slotkin. So maybe some people know Slotkin, but the rest of them,
maybe Mark Kelly too, because he's an astronaut. But if that means anything,
no one knows who Mark Kelly is. No one cares about Mark Kelly. No, my point is no one knows who any of these people are, but they're coming out there and telling you, dude, that you need to, that for some reason you need to refuse orders from the president. Not a wise decision. Just thought there. I'm not sure what, yes, that's exactly right. So what did I hear? Are they promoting insurgency now? I guess. I don't know what this is even really about. Like, what was this in response to? What unlawful orders is the military being told to use on American citizens? Like, am I missing something? Did I hear some strange thing that I didn't know about? What's going on here?
Well, in Tennessee today, a district judge voted that it was unconstitutional to have the National Guard in Memphis or Nashville, one of the two. And so that might be what that's about.
Yeah, but all of those orders are, I mean, that's National Guard, one. But two, the courts, the higher courts always end up approving them. So I'm not sure what exactly the argument is here. Like, the courts keep winning. I mean, Trump keeps winning in court, so it's not unlawful. But telling military members to refuse unlawful orders, yeah, good luck with that. I mean, like, are you trying to get people court-martialed, or like, what's the question here? Like, I don't understand. Like, this is a very strange thing. I'm not sure what's happening. I'm not sure why they're doing it. It's very, very odd.
All right, so I have a few theories on this. One, I think this is about them blowing up the drug boats. Because as you see, how much they freak out when every time Trump and Hegseth blow up one of those boats. So I think a lot of this is because some of these senators may possibly be in the pockets of the drug cartels. Two, I think this could also be about the responses to the reports that they're putting out about Venezuela. Because as you know, that the Venezuelan is where a lot of these drug boats also come from. And I think a lot of them also, I don't know, maybe they kind of like Maduro. I mean, that's just me pulling out of a hat. So maybe they have some sort of weird, I don't know, affection for Maduro or something.
Well,
Maybe
he
they
was
just like him
singing
singing.
John Legend the other day. So
I was just gonna say he was singing
he
John
was
Legend. So
singing
maybe
John
they just
Legend.
like his.
He sang Imagine the other day. So now the moment I heard that, I said that we need to send in the Marines. That was my comment. So I think the Marines need to be sent in immediately because he sang Legend. He sang Imagine. That was my response. But in terms of the drug boats, I don't understand why the Democrats think this is a winning thing for them to talk about the drug boats. I brought this up, and I've talked about this a couple different times on the show, and I've talked about it in person a few times in different contexts. But, anybody who thinks that you're going to win over people by talking about drug cartels sending in drug boats and then saying that we need to not blow them up doesn't have any idea what has happened across this country as a result of drugs. Fentanyl, when fentanyl hit the streets, and I'll tell this story since I've told it before, but I'll tell it again here for everybody else. When fentanyl hit the streets in my town, okay, there was something along the lines of 60-something people that died that night. And I actually know that because there was a police officer that lived next to me, and he told me about it. And he came back that night. He had been out all night, and he looked like he had seen a ghost when he came back from his shift that night. And he told me that 68 people had died. Now, that was night one. Over the next 2 or 3 weeks, so many people died in this city as a result of fentanyl hitting the streets that the morgue became full. They had to bring in ice trucks because there were so many bodies. So spare me when I hear people talk about the idea that these drug cartel boats that were blowing out of the water, spare me that, all right? That this is somehow horrible, that this is evil, we can't do this, it's unlawful. I say kill every single one of them. Kill them all. Kill every single one of them. Are you kidding me? You have any idea how many Americans have died as a result of this? How many people die every single day as a result of this stuff? I mean, it's so bad out in the Midwest now that almost everywhere you go, they have emergency Narcan that is provided to people so that you can keep it on your scene at your location. Businesses keep it on staff just in case you accidentally touch some fentanyl in someone else's vehicle or something. It is that bad. So spare me when I hear about that we need to be nice to the narco boats and we need to be nice to the narco terrorists. No, we don't. Kill them all. Kill every single one of them, and I do not have any sympathy for them whatsoever, and I'm never going to. Okay, we've got a couple other people up here on stage that just joined us here. So what is up, Freemason and Opinions?
Walter, what's going on? Jacktron. First, what's going on? And first on the drug boats, maybe they should, if they're fishermen, they should actually have some fishing rods on the boat that we could see in the infrared shots. Try a little harder. At least put some fishing rods on the boat so maybe we could think you're fishermen. Number one. Number two, it's nice to see the Democrats in Congress going full Candace Owens, telling members of our military to get dishonorably discharged from the military. Who cares? Just do it. Don't listen. Go AWOL. Who cares? It's nice to see. I mean, these people are really they are beyond pathetic. They are beyond insufferable at this point, and they just need to be defeated so badly during the midterms. It's not even funny.
Yeah, I agree. The drug boats, I like the comments that I keep hearing out of the administration. Like, my personal favorite is Trump when he's like, we're just going to kill them. They're going to be, dead. I love it. Perfect. That's exactly the response I like. I want to hear more of that. And, Marco Rubio is also pretty funny. So, if you're running drugs to the United States, you are in grave danger. Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. Yes, good. You should be in danger. Blow them out of the damn water. Every time I watch one of those boats, I'm like, all right, yes. That gets me through the day. I'm a huge fan of it. I want more of it. Blow them up. Get every single one of them out of here. I don't care. What's up, Freemason?
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm with Opinions 100%. We were talking on his spaces quite a bit, exactly of the same like-minded strategy. I do want to go into a little bit of the South American and our hemisphere. I don't know if you've heard me speak about this before, but we're taking over and going to control and dominate our hemisphere And it all ties into the Iran-Contras. It goes that far back. The president of Colombia was directly involved with communists during the Iran-Contras. And that whole thing kicked off because, of course, Congress wouldn't give Reagan money to fight the wars we needed to because, of course, Russia was progressing themselves further into our area. And in fact, the Wagner Group is boots on the ground right now as we speak in Venezuela. So unfortunately, there's silent weapons for deadly wars that have to be fought. And, you know, in regards to the Epstein debacle, some people put their feet in their mouth, but there's a giant issue with what is the list. Everybody thought we were getting some client list, and it's been pretty much, you're not going to see Bill Gates strung out and hung if even if someone can accuse it, if there's no charges to be brought, it's moot. However, now we are going to see, and I think he eloquently trapped our favorite people, the Democrats, into this snare. Now, is it perfectly planned? Would he have liked it to just go away when they said this was a dead issue? Who knows? Now you got Epstein's brother all over the radio today and on shows last night saying the Republicans are going to be scrubbed. Well, I want to know, how do you know that? Right?
I love that. Like, that's my favorite thing. And this is the thing that I've said from a while now. Like, it's never going to be enough. Like, it's never going to be enough. No matter what comes out, it's never going to be enough. There is a whole group of people out here. Like, this is a huge problem, okay? There's a legitimate large percentage of the population that believes that there is some secret cabal, that there's a list of them all on this secret cabal list that run the country and the world. And that if we just find that list, we can string up all of these super powerful people and we'll be able to take them all out and it's all going to fix all of our problems. Like, that's a legitimate belief amongst people. And that's just, guys, I know you want that to be true, but it's just not. It's just not how it works. I mean, I know people want it to be the case, but it's not how it works. You know, that there's not some secretive special group that runs everything. That's not how anything works. But, you know, that's what people want.
Walter, it's kind of like that movie that the Obamas made called "Leave the World Behind," where there's this one scene where the I forget his name, the guy from who's going to be the new Blade, where he's talking to Kevin Bacon and he's talking about how what the truth is really what scares people, and he says the truth is there's nobody in charge, nobody's in control.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, and that's the real
problem is everybody thinks there's a list because since about 2008, 2010, Anons have gone through his hard drives and everything and put a list together of names that they have found in his emails. And so they think that the list that Anons have put together and dripped out throughout the years is somehow mysteriously going to be in these FBI files.
Yeah, well, exactly. But the problem is, again, and like, even like let's put aside the idea of there even being a list in the first place. Like, let's just put that aside, guys. Just if there happens to be some, like, do you think there's going to be a list and then also additionally attached to the list, it's going to be the crimes that all of these people have committed? Is that what you think is going to happen? Like, do you think that's true? Like, so let me get this right. There's a whole list of people that have operated on a international level that is a super cabal of people that do this. And they're also so stupid that they leave all of their evidence laying around for somebody to keep in track of. Now, I understand the idea that people are like, well, it's there because they need it for the blackmail. Like, well, sure, but if the blackmail thing if this all started to blow up, why wouldn't they have had it all scrubbed? I mean, it's just a crazy idea here. It's never going to end. It's never going to end. Like, hey, we're going to talk about it forever. Even after this, I loved that Epstein's brother came out and said they're scrubbing the list today. Like, so that just means that no matter what comes out, everyone will say it's not true and that there's more out there. Just like the JFK files, just like everything else. I mean, it's just endless.
And also, Walter, the Democrats can't read, articulate, or comprehend. In Jeffrey's email, it says the dog has not barked, right? You know, a lot of times we're bashed as men as being dogs. Like, they infer the exact opposite of everything that's read in there. It really, like,
listen, that email with like when that email came out, when I saw that, my immediate comment was, looks like it confirms Trump's story that he may have been one of the people, or the story surrounding Trump, that he may have been one of the people that led to the initial complaint against Epstein. Like, that was my first comment. The dog that didn't bark, meaning that he knew about it, he figured it out, and he hadn't turned them in yet. That's what that meant.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was insane to me. Okay, Tommy Casanova, what's up?
Hey, good evening, everyone. So I just came from another room. No one liked my idea. It's really it's on Venezuela and ties into Syria. I'm trying to figure out like what the statecraft is that's going on. So I think we're going to go kinetic with Venezuela. I think in my opinion, it's just a foregone conclusion, and it has several benefits to America. One, I think we'll take out the Maduro regime faster than we sacked Baghdad in 2003. It'll signal to the rest of the world like what American military supremacy looks like, and it'll make everyone more pliable to our foreign policy initiatives. For example, if anyone who knows me, I'm super pro-Israel and ending the decades-long wars between Israel and Islamic extremists. Right, so I consider Gaza a forward operating base, and it could be wishful thinking. But the reason why I understand why Trump brought al-Assad right to the White House, because he is the Syrian president. And if we want to let's say if we want to legally and lawfully move the Muslims living in the Gaza Strip, right? Syria is like the best location for them. I know everyone laughs at this. Syria is the best location for them. And if you're looking at long-term peace, I actually think like ending the Maduro regime, restoring that democracy, the 8 to 10 million Venezuelans that have fled over the years will go back, including all the ones that are here, right?
Go back.
So
All right. Hold on. All right. Yeah. We got to cut the theory off here because this is a lot of wishful thinking here. Now, on terms of Maduro, just because he started singing John Lennon's Imagine, I think we should invade the country immediately. I mean, that's the only reason I think we should go in there. It needs to be immediately wiped out, take it completely off the map. I mean, just wherever he is, just hit him now. Just drone him, okay? Like that. The moment he started singing, you should have hit him, okay? That's one thing on this. Now, in terms of overturning the regime and doing some sort of democracy thing, not a huge fan of that. We haven't been very successful in the whole democracy spreading idea. Not a great plan for us. Doesn't seem to work out. Plus, it's insanely unpopular. So now, in terms of what's going to happen,
dismantling the CIA.
Well, listen, all of these arguments, it doesn't matter. The problem is democracy wars are very, very, very unpopular. And I don't think democracy wars are going to work out for anybody. Now, getting rid of Maduro, I mean, the moment he started singing, I said, get him, send the Marines. I mean, I'm all for that, just so we can get that off the stage and we never get to hear it again. But outside of that, I don't know what's going to happen there. I mean, I'm not too concerned with what's happening there. We'll see what happens. We've got so much of the fleet down there at this point that something is going to happen, though. What's going to happen, I'm not sure, but we'll have to wait and see what happens as a result of that. Okay, Miss Lou, what's up?
Hey, Walter and everybody. Hey, does Scheinbaum, is she singing anything? Because there could be a regime change in Mexico, too, as far as I'm concerned. But I do want to tell you that John Solomon, Just the News, put out an article. I just got an email on it. You may have already seen this, but James Comer, a seriously worded letter, I guess, vows to give Clintons the Bannon treatment if they defy subpoenas. He said the Clintons are two Democrats that his committee has not heard back from regarding subpoenas for their testimony on their ties to Epstein, and that continued silence will be met with criminal referrals. To be continued.
Yeah, I hope so, because it would just make my day. But these are the Clintons we're talking about. Comer's, I don't know what's going to happen as a result of that, but Comer's probably got to double his security now, as far as I'm concerned. We'll see. I think this is probably necessary to get the Clintons in there, and I think the better part of that is just the Democrats opened this door with this whole Epstein saga. They opened the door for it, so let them walk right through it. As far as I'm concerned, that's why today with the whole Plaskett scenario, Raskin was out there saying, it's not a big deal that she was texting Jeffrey Epstein in the middle of the congressional hearing. It's a constituent. He's just a constituent, everybody. He's an upstanding citizen. It's allowed for you to talk to your constituents during hearings. There's no rule against that. There's no moral problem with you talking to Jeffrey Epstein and him giving you direct commands on what to ask during a hearing. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, the Democrats walked into this. They opened the door. And I say we slam it. What is opinions comment? Opinions is that's a really deep hole. Now let's push you into it. And I think that's exactly what could happen here. And I hope it's played properly, because so far it hasn't been played properly. And I think it can be now.
Walter, along those lines, this was, and my other saying is the stepping on rakes, right? This was the one rake that the Trump administration was stepping on constantly, was the messaging on this Epstein thing. What the Democrats have done now is taken that away. They're now putting the rake under their feet. And that's what's going to happen. Instead of letting this twist and letting the Trump administration keep twisting on this one and keep getting the one thing they've been getting wrong the entire second term, it's really the only thing they've gotten wrong. And the Democrats just basically took the rake away, and now they're going to step on it. That's what's going on too here.
Well, I mean, it's just amazing to watch, though. It's like, the Comer came out earlier during the middle of the congressional discussion on this, and he's like, well, why did Jeffries take money or seek money from the Epstein camp, like for his campaign? So, they did this. They're the ones who made this a huge part of their messaging, and somehow they want to try and convince us that Trump is involved in it somehow, which was always the joke in the beginning of it's such a hoax. Everybody knows that they would have released everything and gotten Trump and thrown in prison if they could have with it. I mean, that's obvious. But, the problem is that we had Pam Bondi out there at the beginning of the administration that just screwed everything up and continued to screw everything up. And the FBI and the DOJ are still I would say, if you had to rate all of the administration right now, where they stand in terms of popularity, I think the FBI and the DOJ are negative at this point. They are terrible. I mean, I don't care what you say. I like Dan and Cash. I like them both, but they are screwing up on this PR messaging horribly, okay? Suing conservative influencers. You've got, what's her name? The Alexis, the country sensation, she's got a defamation lawsuit. That was stupid. The DOJ is just looking terrible. And this pipe bomb story that's now coming out, and they're talking about the pipe bomb stuff. More information came out about that today, by the way. They said that the two Capitol police officers, when they showed up, they were there for 6.5 minutes and they found the pipe bombs. So again, let alone the Thomas Crook stuff that just came out. So again, the DOJ is unpopular and the FBI is unpopular for a reason. And we're not just because we like Dan and Cash, just because we happen to like those two individuals, does not mean we're going to start liking the institution itself. That's not how this works. The only way you fix the problems with the institution is you have to convince people that we don't want to hate it anymore, and you're not doing a great job of that so far. So until that gets resolved, I don't think anybody's going to sit there and say that we love the FBI and we love the DOJ, because we don't. Okay, they screwed up and they ruined their credibility for years. And I know it's a tall order to be able to fix that credibility problem, but it's also not our fault that you ruined the credibility over the past 10 years. It's not the American people's fault. It's your responsibility for fixing that. What?
All right, so there's a story that just came out just now. So apparently Crockett, our favorite, the amazing and perfectly articulate Jasmine Crockett, said, folks who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team digging very quickly, Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, McCain Palin. But then Lee Zeldin comes out in response with this. He says, yes, Crockett, a physician named Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, who is a totally different person than the other Jeffrey Epstein, donated to a prior campaign of mine. So meaning that it's not the sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. It is just another guy who happens to have the same name.
Oh my goodness! That's what an unfortunate person. The Dr. Jeffrey Epstein. That dude's life sucks. Oh man, what an unfortunate individual. Can you imagine how much that dude's life sucks? He just goes around. What's your name, Jeffrey? What's your last name? Well, I don't want to tell you. I mean, what an unfortunate person. That's just terrible. Oh man, I don't even know what to say about that. How has he not changed his name by now? I mean, that's got to be the most unpopular person that's ever existed. Where are you going today, Dr. Epstein's? What? Oh man, that's not good. What a poor bastard that is.
He'd be better off with a name like Mike Hunt.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, at this point, change it to anything, dude. If Jeffrey Epstein is your name, Dr. Jeffrey Epstein. No one's going to your practice, bud. Sorry. Oh my goodness, unfortunate stuff. Okay, Paul, you've got your hand up. What's up?
Yeah, I had a couple of quick things, but first of all, I'd just say that's just another reason to love Lee Zeldin. So. Hooray for that. Anyway, you may have mentioned it. It was breaking news. You may have already mentioned it, and it's not surprising, but the person that made the text during the hearing to Epstein, the Democrats have rejected the resolution to censure her. Not a big surprise, but.
Well, but the better part about that is that Massey voted alongside the Democrats to do that. And this is why Massey is a useless son of a bitch. And this is I don't care what people say about Massey. I know there's a lot of people on the right that like this guy. I do not like him. Okay. He has done nothing for us as a Republican Party. He has done nothing except vote with the Democrats. Dislike him entirely. I think he's a grandstanding moron. In this whole charade here, I mean, why would you not vote to censure on this person? Okay, she was texting Jeffrey Epstein during the hearing. What if your whole idea here is you're supposed to be going after the stuff about Epstein? Why wouldn't you vote alongside that? And that's just a win for the Republicans, but you didn't want to give the win to the Republicans, so you voted with the Democrats. And that's why I can't stand the guy. Like, that's the real reason I can't stand the guy.
Another quick thing. You were mentioning it's never going to be enough for the Democrats with these Epstein files. And who knows what's going to come out? I just don't have any idea. But one scenario is going to be they're not getting the grand jury information. So they can always say they don't find anything on Trump. Well, if we just had the grand jury information and files, we'd find something.
It's never ending, dude. It's never going to end. Okay, like that's the problem with this whole scenario. It's never going to end. It's just going to go on forever. I mean, it's just like every other style of conspiracy like this. It's never going to stop. There's never going to be an end to it. There's always going to be something else. There, someone hid a file. Someone hid something else. It's just a never-ending thing. Like the difference between a conspiracy that is like this and a conspiracy that you can actually get some movement on is like, how about, I don't know, the conspiracy to overthrow the sitting president of the United States? How about that one? That one's pretty important, don't you think? The one where they opened counterintelligence operations against the sitting president that we know of, and we actually know the names of the people who did it, and we still don't have them in jail? How about that? I don't know. It's just, to me, it just drives me crazy. Like, we've got real things we could do, but we want to talk about this because we know everyone cares about Epstein, because one day we're going to get a list and everyone that you hate is going to go to prison, even though it's not going to happen. But whatever. Okay. Freemasons, got your hand up. What's up?
Yeah, I don't know if you ever heard this before, but you got Eric Trump like locked and loaded, bro. You need to do a voiceover and get some guys on here, and you can have some Trump and Eric going back and forth about the business. It'd be great, bro.
I've never heard that before. No, I have not heard that before. That's pretty funny though. Opinions, get your hand up. What's up?
Oh, just real quick. If you remember the movie Casino, Walter, everybody thinks they're getting Artie Piscano's book when it comes to this list. You're not getting the records, everybody. It's not happening. You're not going to get handed a book and somebody's going to fall down and have a heart attack right in front of you because, oh my God, they got caught. This isn't what it's going to be.
Well, did you guys, here's the other thing about this. Did you guys see, and I played this at the open of the show when I was talking about this at the beginning here, but did you guys listen to what Johnson said at some point? He kind of I don't know if he intentionally did this or if he just misspoke or he just listen to what his comment is here, because I thought this is pretty telling. So let me real quick, and I'll you guys can give me what your take is on it here. So this was Johnson when he's talking about these files earlier.
All right. Number 5, national security concerns, okay? The discharge requires the Attorney General to release within 30 days, quote, classified information to the maximum extent possible. This ignores the principle that declassification should always rest, and always has rested, with the agency that originated the intelligence. Why? So that they can protect their critical sources and methods. It is incredibly dangerous to demand that officials or employees of the DOJ declassify materials that originated in other agencies, in intelligence agencies.
So there you go. Now, what was that there? Hold on a minute. Hold on. Intelligence agencies, DOJ, declassify intelligence from another place. So it was the CIA all along. What a surprise. I mean, I know everyone's shocked. I know everyone is just absolutely dumbfounded that the CIA had some clandestine operation that existed for a long time, and we're never going to hear about it because they probably burned all of the information about it, just like they do all of their other clandestine operations. Well, I personally am shocked. I don't know about you guys. I am absolutely blown away by this. I can't believe it. I never would have expected it. I mean, just come on. It's so funny to me that this came out, that he's just like, intelligence agencies, we can't have the DOJ declassifying intelligence agencies. Well, why are the intelligence agencies part of this? No one mentioned that. You brought that up. Oh, man, I love this stuff. It's so ridiculous to me. We're never going to hear about this. We're never going to figure out what this whole thing was about, and it's never going to happen, and everyone's going to be mad about it for 30 years. I'm going to be 65 years old, and they're going to release the files, and it's all going to be meaningless information just like the JFK stuff. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be just like that.
Will there be newspaper clippings, Walter, as classified material?
That's right. Yeah, it'll be.
Yeah.
In fact, it'll be this show that it'll just be like recordings of this podcast, and that'll be what they classify, because apparently you can classify anything. You know, if you guys didn't know that, during the JFK files when they released it, they actually had like, you know, public news articles that they classified for some friggin' reason, and those were in the classified files locked away for 60 years. So I assume that in the future it'll be, you know, recordings of people yelling about it, and we were all right. And they're just going to come out and release things like, see, that's why they had to classify this, because these idiots on the internet got it right. I mean, God almighty, I hate this stuff. I hate it so much. Okay, see here. If you got your hand up, you can go ahead and speak. The space is glitching a bit, so go ahead, whoever. No?
So, you know, yeah, we hired Cash to put some, you know, integrity back in the FBI. You know, the I stands for integrity. You're not doing a great job of that, bro.
Well, and see, this is part of the problem, okay? Like, I like Cash. Okay, to be honest with you, I'm going to be perfectly fair here. I didn't really pay much attention to Cash at all, but I do know Dan Bongino, okay? So I paid a lot of attention to Dan Bongino, and I trust that Dan's actually trying to get something done. The problem is, again, that you've got a corrupt institution that surrounds them, okay? Like, you have a corrupt institution. The FBI is one of the most corrupt organizations in the entire country. I mean, like, I'm not even really sure who would beat them. Like, maybe the CIA or the IRS is like the only other two that would possibly beat them and be more corrupt. But so you've got all this, you've got an insanely corrupt institution, and you've got two guys at the helm of it trying to get it under control. But like, what do you, they're going to have to bring in all new people is the only way I can think it could get this stuff. It's not going to be easy for them to do. But the one thing I will say is that it would really be helpful for the PR version of this to stop telling us things that send then 15 days later, somebody comes out with a report showing that you were wrong. Like, that would be really helpful. Just stop doing that. Like, I mean, just don't come out and tell us that you don't know anything about Thomas Crooks and that he was a lone wolf. And then people come out with all this stuff about find information that is pretty important. Like, I mean, just why aren't you talking about any of this stuff? It seems relevant, but you didn't give any of that information out. And then it comes out from other reporters, and that just looks terrible. Same with the FBI, the pipe bomb story. Like, there is like not a person that exists that believes that the FBI can't figure out who did that. There's no one believes that, even sort of. It's not a believable story. It's not a believable story that you can't figure out who this person is that was on video, that somehow Kamala Harris was within 12 feet of this freaking supposed pipe bomb, that the police showed up, and then 4 minutes later they found the pipe bombs while they looked under the only two bushes that the pipe bomber dropped them at. Like, I mean, just no one believes this. So come on and give us the damn answers already. You can figure it out. We believe you can. I mean, maybe you can't. Maybe they're just completely incompetent. I don't know.
Well, Walter, both are bad. They're either incompetent. Maybe Cash got the wrong information, or someone didn't tell him. But if they were not telling the truth about that, or they were incompetent, both options are bad.
Well, and this is part of the problem, really. Like, there's a strong possibility, to be honest with you, that the people that did the investigating beforehand, they created a whole bunch of crap, and then they just left that in the files, and then Dan and Cash go in to have to review the files, and they say, well, in the pile of crap that they left us, none of it was accurate. Like I don't know. I mean, is that what you're doing, though? But I think you have to go back and start over again. That's the only thing I can think. But again, you have to bring in the correct people to be able to do that, because as far as I'm concerned, it's very possible that the entire FBI is corrupted from the top to the bottom. So, I mean, like, I don't know.
It's going to be hard to redo this investigations after they destroyed evidence. Like, even just like, how long was it after the assassination attempt that Crooks' body was completely...
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Like, 10 days after after that happened, they cremated the body, which is, just a bit strange. I don't know. You would think, like, my thought on that, the reason that's a problem, and to me, is like, if somebody commits a murder... Like, opinions, you're a cop. How long after a murder case, like if there's something happens like that, how long do you usually maintain that the body stays around for, investigative purposes or, autopsies, stuff like that? How long does that usually, like, do you keep bodies stuck around for that sort of stuff? Is there any procedure on that?
I don't know the particular procedure. It could vary, but at the same time, you're talking about an attempted assassination of the President of the United States, well, former, and front-running candidate to then be again. You would think that body would stick around a little longer than 10 days, and you'd also think they wouldn't be up on the roof hosing it down.
That's what my thought is.
I was going to say, follow-up question for you, Opinions. How regular is it for a crime scene to be scrubbed down where there's no DNA left over and scrubbed down by the FBI and not by a contracted company 48 hours after the crime happened.
No, yeah, that's what I just mentioned right at the end. That the fact that area was hosed down was, to me, extremely strange.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of strange stuff about it. But again, the big thing to me is the body part. Like, again, attempted assassination of the president, that body, in my eyes, I'm surprised it's still not sitting in the morgue right now. Like, that's what my thought is. Like, why is it still not here? Like, they should be able to go back and look at that thing again, like, as many times as you need to. But they burned it 10 days later. You know, my thing is, I think it's not unreasonable for people to believe that this guy was set up, and not set up, I'm saying that he was organized and that he had help doing it, and that the moment that he failed, okay, because I actually presented this theory the other day, and I'm curious what people think about it. You guys are welcome to make comments on this. My theory that I presented the other day is that if there was a attempted assassination attempt on Trump, okay, who and what would be the play out of that? Okay, so say it succeeded, which it almost did. Let's keep this in mind. It almost did happen. Okay, so what would the play after he is shot? What would that result in? Okay, the front runner in the race at that point. This is, keep in mind, guys, this is pre-convention. So J.D. Vance isn't in the picture in this scenario. Okay, pre-convention, J.D. Vance isn't in the picture. Joe Biden is still in the race. Okay, so Joe Biden's still in the race. If this happens, say Trump does get assassinated. If Trump gets assassinated, who is then the Republican front runner? None other than Nikki Haley, Raytheon Haley. Because that would be the front runner, right? She was the only other person still in the race. So Nikki Haley's then the front runner. Who do they pin that assassination on? Well, they say Joe Biden was incompetent. And then there's this other story that Tucker Carlson alluded to, that the idea that they were trying to blame Iran. Well, there's a very interesting correlation between those two things. Nikki Haley, the war hawk, and Tucker, and the idea of Iran. They blame Iran, blame Joe Biden. We invade Iran in response for assassinating Trump. I think it's a reasonable theory, because then Nikki Haley would be the one in charge, and she works for the military-industrial complex. I don't know. It's just a theory, but I think it's reasonable. And I don't know people can give me comments on that and tell me what you think. But I said that the other day, and I don't think it's a completely unreasonable idea. So
I don't think it's completely unreasonable idea either.
No, it's a 2 + 2 is 4. It does add up. We don't know, but I so want to trust Kash Patel. I really do, Walter. I really want to trust him, and I so want to trust even more Dan Bongino. I do. And we talk about this stuff, and when it comes to this investigation, it seems like the book's closed. With the Charlie Kirk investigation, I want to give them the time to finish the investigation. I want to see the evidence in court before I come to a conclusion that, oh my God, they're lying to us again. But it is very difficult, and they do make it difficult, and it makes it hard for me to defend them. It does.
Well,
are you Hunter?
Well, the problem is, guys, so hold on a minute here. So the problem with all of this is that nobody trusts the damn FBI. That they just don't trust them at all. And the problem, again, when you run into this, like for the Thomas Crooks investigation, is that they had months to cover it up. The moment they failed, they had from the time that he failed, right? The moment that the assassination attempt failed, they had from then until the time Trump was inaugurated to cover it up. So that's a long time to create a cover up if they're going to do it. And if they scrub the bodies and they to get rid of all this stuff, it's kind of a problem.
And Kash wasn't there at the time, obviously. He was not the FBI director, and you had a body going before Congress and basically lying by omission, not talking about Crooks's obvious social media profile that painted him as a hard left-winger who flipped on Trump.
Well, not only a hard left-winger, did you guys see the Miranda Devine story that he's apparently also a furry? Which is, you know, why are all furries assassins? Like, what is the percentage of assassin furries? Like, I want to know that. Someone needs to give me some statistics on assassin furries. Like, apparently that's a real problem. Okay, go ahead, Freemason.
Yeah, it's interesting opinions brought up Charlie Kirk. I agree with that investigation. Sean Ryan just had Brian Harpool on. He was the security guard that was making hand maneuvers, and he was trying to put direct pressure on the carotid artery. And he said that the Monday before the assassination, that they were in direct contact with Chief Long at the university, and that they were supposed to have cops from the university in the stairwells and on that rooftop. And obviously, as we saw, that didn't happen. The other thing is he confirms that the doctor came out after, and I'm sure they did, some type of scans and MRIs, but he explained why the bullet fragmented. And me being a hunter and having used the 30-06, at first I didn't see it happening that way because I've seen that particular bullet, like 2,600 feet per second, blow holes the size of a softball out the other side of a deer at like 300 yards. But what they're saying is it hit the bone and then shattered and then went straight down the rest of the vertebrae, which would leave fragments. So the ballistics, of course, now aren't going to match anything at all unless they found powder on the shooter and on the rifle. And of course, the rifle they put out, the picture is not the actual rifle. The Mauser used was a World War II era wooden 30-06, and what they showed us is a brand new synthetic stock 06 that you would buy at Dick's. The problem, I think, what happens here is that Trump empowers a lot of people by being loyalist and stoutly with them. But what happens, you saw Cash that night, oh, we got the perpetrator. They speak too fast and put their feet in their mouth often at times. And then you add on the fact that everybody out here is an expert. And it makes me wonder, just hopping off the Charlie Kirk scenario, but back to the Epstein, whoever the hell talked Trump into allowing that presser and all the influencers to put out that book of the files of the first phase, someone that should have their head examined, and hopefully they fired someone. That was the worst blunder I can think of, possibly.
Yeah, it really
Okay,
was.
so hold on then. So are you saying that the head of security there was requesting additional police officers for that event, but the university denied that? Is that what he
Or
said?
they just didn't do it.
Yeah, they just didn't
That's what
do
they
it.
denied it.
They
They
have
agreed, and then they didn't send them.
they have an email confirming. He said, "I got you, no problem." And also the autopsy is out there. That's going to come out. But what's happening is a lot of this, and you got to watch the whole episode on Sean Ryan. So far, it's just snippets that are out. But basically, what it sounds like to me is that they're trying to save a lot of this stuff for the discovery part of the trial.
Yeah, listen,
So
and that's the big thing about this, and that's what drives me crazy about this entire the trying to figure this out. This is driving me nuts because people don't have all the information. Okay, like you don't have all the information, and you're trying to talk about things you don't know about, and you just want to keep going on and on and on and on and on and on about it. Like this whole stupid story that's not coming out for what about like a plane from Egypt, and like guys, my goodness,
Did
like
you think that Candy O is now saying that like Brick Suit, who broke that story, is a nobody?
Yeah, well, listen, apparently he doesn't even exist. That's what her most recent thing is, that an account that doesn't even exist. Like Brick Suit, the guy that's been at like every Trump rally, and there's 1,000 photos of him everywhere. He's personally stood on stage with Trump. That guy doesn't exist, according to Candace Owens. But again, this is so stupid. This is why I don't really pay attention to these people. But it's to me, the one thing that bothers me about it is like, how gross are you that you're just going to make shit up just to get clicks based on, about this assassination? It's very gross to me. But guys, we are over time. Guys, we are over time. I have to go. We are way over time to this evening, guys. I appreciate everyone who showed up here this evening. Thank you guys for showing up. This is the Political Theater. We will be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. for more of the theater. Make sure you guys follow all my hosts. Make sure you guys follow all my speakers. This show is a 9 p.m. show. Shows up 9 p.m., goes to about 11 o'clock every single night. We started a little bit late this evening because I was on Trump Tuesday. We will be back tomorrow night. Thank you guys for being here, and we will see you guys next time. Make sure you guys follow and subscribe to all the content. Go to WCDispatch.com, and you can watch the show live. The video version of the show is also available on Spotify after the show. It's cut up and actually has some of the better segments in it there. So you guys can check it out there. So make sure you guys check that out. Make sure you guys follow us on Rumble, YouTube, Substack, wherever you guys can follow us. And we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thanks, guys.
Some folks are born with a liberty spark. Their hearts beat red, white, and blue. When the anchors sneer and the cameras bark, they turn the lens right back at you. Truth bound, ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're not the party line sons, no, we ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're the vigilant ones, so. Some folks inherit silk-lined halls, spend our sweat while preaching share. But when the tax man wraps his knuckles raw, their mansions suddenly look bare, impaired. Ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're not their banker-raised hares, no. Ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're the vigilant ones, so. Yeah, some paint stars on press room lies and send the common men to toil. Ask them, how much truth will you trade tonight? They mutter, more noise, more noise, more noise. Ain't for sale, ain't for sale. Not the theater's pawn's friend. It ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're America's steadfast one. No, we won't be spun.